Roll call, A. Forbes.
He's running late, Director.
A. Impastato.
Here.
A. Lewitt. Here. B. Reyes.
Here.
M. Russo. J. Sanford. E. Seitzman.
Present. I would like to advise those present that notice of this regular meeting of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken has been provided to the public in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of this regular meeting of Thursday, July 13, 2023 was given by publication of the annual meeting notice of the authority with amendments as necessary and was sent to the Jersey Journal and Star Ledger on Wednesday, June 28, 2023. As notification to the general public of the meeting. Sent to the City Clerk of Hoboken on Wednesday, June 28, 2023, with a copy of the agenda to be posted on the bulletin board in City Hall, Hoboken Library, and Hoboken Police Department, and posted on the authority website on Wednesday, June 28, 2023. I direct the minutes of this meeting to state that I have announced that adequate notice of this meeting has been given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. Thank you. So, public portion. I would just like to remind everyone, you have 5 minutes during public portion. I would also like to let everyone know that please be respectful to everyone here, the residents, the commissioners, the authority employees, and the director. And so our first. Patricia Waiters. Please note that our court recorder is online, so when you come up to the mic, I need you to say your name and spell it, please.
So they can't hear me, you mean?
No, she's here, but she wants to hear you, so you need to state
Not
your
in-
name. Yeah, into the mic, so she can hear you.
Patricia Waiters, Waiters, like a waiter in a restaurant. Who am I speaking to anyway? Terry who?
Terry.
She's a commissioner?
No, she's the court recorder.
Oh, hi Terry, you can hear me?
I can hear you.
Thank you. Tonight, I just want to question a few things. Is it a quorum, first of all, or the rest of them is online? Michael Russo, I've texted the rest of them, but I'm saying, are they coming, they attending the meeting tonight?
Yes, Mr. Forbes is running late, and Mr. Russo, I have not heard from.
Okay, and with the public portion being first, the other items before you vote on them, are we going to get an opportunity to speak on those as agenda items?
No, you will speak on those as you speak on them every other time. You have 5 minutes to speak during public portion, and that's whether
On
you have.
any items of concern, including agenda items.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna be speaking on a few agenda items because it's not definitely clarified as to what contracts is what, who money being paid to what. I'll wait then after the meeting to stress that. But I want to stress to the commissioners the importance, I brought it across the city council last night, of the reputation and integrity in our community. Very, very important. And I want to be taken a little serious than I've been taken in the last year. So if you wasn't on it within the last year, this is not directed to you, but this is directed to the chair, Madam Chair, with respect, and the governing body. We all know everybody's still using COVID as an excuse. I've got documentation. Every time I rode into Trenton, I timestamped my documents. The court system is horrible. Thursday, I will be going to Governor Murphy's office again for the 3rd time. And unfortunately, when the public get to use their opinion, it gets ugly. I'm not a social media person. I don't want to go on Facebook. I don't want to go on TikTok. I don't want to show some of these horrific videos, including the shooting and killings that's happening in Hoboken housing. But I do have it for evidence. I have no reason to lie. But I've learned to stay calm because you know what? 3 times, the 30th, the 6th, and the 13th, I've been in Hackensack. I'm having a lot of heart issues, a lot of medical issues. But my daughter, that was my daughter, Deshawn, you notice what she did? She walked in and walked out. Because they want mom to be that way. They said, Mom, it's not worth it. I said it's worth it. If I drop dead at this microphone, I'm going to assure you that everybody that brought pain and or harm and danger to me and the people that look like me in housing authority for the last 30 years will be held accountable. How's that? And I hope Governor Murphy get it this time when I ride all the way down there to tell you the seriousness of having retaliatory measures in your heart, hate, racism and say, no, I'm not, it don't exist, to get me amped up and angry and I'm acting on emotions and I shouldn't have. Some of y'all kids are holding my hand near and dear. Everybody in housing love Auntie Pat. No, I don't have to live there, but we are the oldest family. My mother, Betty Moore, and David Little moved here in 1962. You've seen it in her record. So I'm gonna always be a part of Housing Authority. Don't shut me up, don't shut me away. What I'm asking for tonight, again, is full compliance. When all of y'all raise your hand and take an oath, you got access to the government, because you're commissioners. I'm gonna tell you again, reach out and tell the governor, hear Pat Wader's voice. Get an opportunity to see her facts. This ain't allegations, I'm not making this up. I owe none of y'all nothing. And it's sad when you work for somebody and most of your management, and this is not a disrespectful, don't have knowledge of what's going on. They just sitting there as a scapegoat because they say, I got this on you, and hold leverage on each other. So you can't tell me you operate in Housing Authority under efficiency when this is happening. So if somebody holding you and gag ordering you, you can't serve your tenants. How? It's a conflict of interest. So I'm telling you the seriousness of why I'm reaching out to her. I got Miss Fudge. She's over everybody in Washington. I got timestamp documents, and again, I'm asking for a thorough investigation. I'm starting with you guys, and Miss Chair, Madam Chair, I got confidence in you. Twice you left this board and came back. So you know exactly what's going on. Again, Patricia Waiters, p.waiters 927@yahoo.com. All lines of communication is open. All lines to talk to anybody. Please, I'm wrapping it up saying this. Protect the reputation of my town. Protect it. The systemic racism will end tonight. I'm expecting phone calls tomorrow and not retaliation by not giving my daughter that was #1 an apartment. I don't have to do that when you give others that don't deserve it. Thank you, Madam Chair, and this body. Good night.
My name's Kathleen Feeney, F-E-E-N-E-Y. I live in Studio 2B here in Fox Hill. I'd like to start out by saying I'm going to use my 5 minutes in a different kind of way. Someone who's part of the solution and not the problem. With all due respect to Frank and Mr. Recco, this board, and our wonderful office team, there's somebody in this building who I consider to be the heart and soul of Fox Hill. His name is Mr. Laviano, L-A-V-I-A-N-A. That's Danny, our superintendent. The first person I met was Miss Natalie, and then I met Jimena and the rest of the office staff, and of course Frank and Mr. Recco, but Danny has always just been there. And Danny, he likes everyone and he's friends with everyone, but the main thing about Danny is he's a hard worker. He works all the time. We're not having packages stolen anymore because Danny he comes up with options, he comes up with ideas. We've got a package room, and I'll see him on a Saturday or a Sunday, and he'll be putting the packages in the package room. I said, this is your day off. He goes, I know. But he's always there, and luckily for me, he lives right down the hall from me. I'm on 2, and he lives on another wing. And luckily for all of us, we get a bonus with Danny. He's got this wife named Maria, and she's amazing. So I just want to share with you that, yeah, there are a lot of challenges, there are a lot of problems that come with living in housing, in public housing. Some I never imagined I would come up with. But for me, my North Star, my anchor has been Danny. It's always Danny and Maria, and I feel very safe, and I don't know why he likes me, I just think he likes everyone. I've never seen him rude to anyone or be mean. So I guess I could just come up here and sing Danny Boy, but I'm not going to. But I'm going to end with something. My father lived to 100. He died in 2020. My father, Robert Francis Feeney, was in World War II. He was in the Army, and he fought for us. We're Irish and German, and my father had a saying, a toast. We'd say it every wedding, we'd say it every party, we'd say it every football game, you know. This is my dad's toast, and this is Danny. Never above you, never below you, always beside you. And to me, that epitomizes Mr. Laviano, Danny. So I like to say good things before people die, so thank you.
Hi, to start saying, my name is Carmen Vega, V-E-G-A. I live in apartment 6E in Fox Hill. Good evening, everyone. I would like to start by saying Fox Hill is getting out of control. Tenants not respecting other tenants' space, acting up or acting out in the lobby especially. The lobby is a place that you're supposed to come in and out, not hang out with security. Security is here to secure us, not us secure them. There's been an incident downstairs that I was told, that I was aware of, I know the cameras must have looked, of a tenant living here, walking around in underwears. Now, people forget, and we have to respect the elderly. I know this is a building where everybody could live here from now on, which is great, but we have to remember that there's elderly women living here. If they were to see someone walking around or acting up like that, they would be terrified. And that is a problem here. That is one of the things going on. Number two is we had people drinking in the back during the day. You know, unfortunately, they're drinkers. Not to say that they're alcoholic, but they are, you know. And the problem there was an incident. I happened to get out of my vehicle, the parking lot back here. I run into that. So now I'm part of that criminal case. Okay, fine. I know they apologize to one another, which, fine, but still there's a case pending. And I feel that all the problems that we're having, we shouldn't be having them because they were not that severe in the past, but it's getting worse. Another incident that occurred was that I was in my room, I was in my living room, excuse me, and I heard some noise, and it turned out to be a firecracker. Not a little one, a big one. And I went downstairs, I questioned security. Security hesitated to call the police. And I insisted that they call the police. So therefore, I do know that letters were sent out. Again, you know, like the police officer said, this is a place, we can't do nothing about that. That's legit, but it's not legit in housing because people live here. If that would have taken another matter, you know, on someone's balcony, burned something, whatever, that would have turned out different. Okay, that's another incident. Number three is, there's so many things going on. We need to, you know, take our building back. We're having problems. We need to have a meeting with security, their supervisor. It's important because, like I said, you know, people want to come downstairs and keep them company. No, they're not there for that. They're there to monitor this space here. You know, and another thing is that I have seen with my own eyes that people come in and people come out, no IDs are asked. I mean, all of that, you know, the contract, what happened to that? Isn't that in the contract? They're supposed to be asking for IDs. Where are you going to? Where's the delivery? I mean, that's not happening like it should. And that's a problem because if we have them here with a contract getting paid, then what do we need them for if they're not doing their work? That's the bottom line. And that's one of the problems, of the many problems that we're having here in Fox Hill. Also, you know, the people are tired of it. The people are tired of living like that. We're living in this building like, you know, Mr. Gregor, I understand that you have to rent out to people that are disabled, that have problems. I understand all that. Homelessness, we understand that. But the people that you rented to, they're the ones causing the problems here. So I don't understand. You have an apartment, a nice apartment, and you want to cause chaos. You know, that's out of order. There's no reason why elderly people, 60 and plus or whatever age they may be, they have to live in that fear. There's women here that live alone, that don't have family, and that's unfair for. On my floor, there was another incident with another tenant. She happens to get out of the elevator, which you know who she is, and what happens to her? Somebody comes out of the garbage area, the compact, and they come out of there, and they happen to speak with her, ask her a few words about person in particular, if she knew, and she responded, and the minute she turned around, they threw something in her face. Now, she's blonde-headed. Mind you, my mother might not be blonde-headed tonight, but she's blonde-headed too. I mean, what about they would have mistaken that person with my mother? You know, these are things that we have to look into. There's problems here being caused with people. There's problems here being caused with people that live here. This is not outsider. That woman was apprehended. We hope that eventually she'll say who sent her. It's not guaranteed that she'll say because it's not mandatory by law for her to say. Now, you know, and the bottom line is that I'm tired of living like this, really. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people in this room are tired of living like that. There's only so much that Danny could do. And Danny tries his best. I'm just wrapping it up. And I just wanted to bring these issues to your attention. Mr. Recco, thank you for everything you do. Frank, thank you. And I know you're trying to be on top of things, but I know that there has to be a case in court and there has to be a process before you can do anything about it. We expect that once that process is done, that you take action. And sending a notice to someone and just slapping him on the hand, that's not enough anymore. Because we are living in danger in this place, and we shouldn't be living like this. And I refuse to live in fear, because I know who I serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you, Carmen.
Can the record please show that Commissioner Russo and Commissioner Forbes are both present now? Iris?
Loriano, are you?
What? Iris, come here.
My name is Iris Loriano, A-R-I-R-I-S, Loriano, L-A-U-N-A-N-O. Okay. Last time I approached you with my son. My son is disabled. He lives on 8D. I am speaking for him because I'm his mother. Right now, he's sleeping at this time because he drinks his medication, and this medication is no good because it messes up his system. They go crazy. These kids, instead of you speaking to them the way that you speak to them, there has to be respect, because these kids, right now, my son had a nervous breakdown. He don't want to come down. He's medicated. So who's going to speak for him? Me. More than 10 years I've been dealing with my son, his issues. My son don't come out, don't hang out in the front. He plays games all day, drinks his medication, doesn't speak to nobody, pays his rent on time. Okay? And I'm not going to say no names because I am going to speak with Mr. Greco alone. Okay? Because it's got to stop. The abuse got to stop with my son. That of you knocking at 12 o'clock when he has medication on, at 12 o'clock, to tell him that the cat litter stinks. Come on. Give these kids an opportunity. I have pictures that he cleaned his apartment. I have pictures here that I'm going to show Mr. Greco that he did clean the apartment. Don't be on top of him. This is why I'm telling you, I've dealt with him more than 10 years. Psych wards. He doesn't bother nobody. He has his cats. I bought you a letter from the site of the cats, so he wouldn't have no problem. Now I got pictures that he's cleaning every day. I don't want my son bothered with a letter at the door, and he's like this, oh, Mom, what am I doing? Mom, please, can you speak to them? He drinks medication. We have to learn how to deal with these kids and don't turn their face. No, I don't, What are you doing with these kids? You have to learn how to speak to them. Not blah, 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 blah. That's not helping them. You're aggravating them. He had a nervous breakdown. I had to take him to the hospital yesterday because of the constant cat. I got pictures. I'm going to show Mr. Greco how he cleaned that apartment. And he's sick. And he cleaned it in 1 second when I told him to clean it. I don't want my son bothered no more. Because I have epileptic attacks. I have my own condition. And I live in Jersey City, and I got to deal with my son's problem every day. A letter at the door. And then he's got to call me, and I got to come in action. Then when I come and I try to speak to somebody, everybody turns their face. That's unrespectful to me and to everybody. Okay? That's all I got to say. And I will speak with Mr. Greco.
Thank you. Janice Darpin? Janice?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for allowing us to speak. This is the first time I'm joining the community meeting, except for that one event at City Hall where we tried to save the old church on 7th. I came because my interest is in senior housing, and are there more housing for senior citizens that are adding up in numbers in the city? I lived here 31 years in the same apartment, regular rental. But I'm interested now for space in senior housing, and I don't know how to go about it.
Can you stay till after the meeting so we can talk?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sonia Ochai, I'm sorry.
Thanks for having me. My name is Sonia of Chotted, and I know.
Can you just spell your last name?
Yes, OWCHARIW, and I just want to say thanks to Dr. Russo. I'm Sonia from Newman Leathers Warehouse. Oh, there you go. Sorry, I didn't know which one. I have such a story. My background is journalism. I was a former reporter for Bloomfield Life. I worked for Hudson Reporter. I was underneath Karen Listener. I know Stephen.
Sorry, this is a court reporter. I'm just having a problem hearing you.
Yes, very good. Yes, sorry, this is short for me. I just wanted to say thanks to Reverend Forbes and Dr. Russo. Thank you. They're going to make it taller for me. Thank you. I'm Ukrainian American. That's why I'm tall like the Amazon woman. I just want to say thanks again, Forbes and Russo. I have aplastic anemia. I'm one of your disabled persons here. I'd like to thank Prev. He's known me since 2016 when I was renting space at Newman Leathers. I was diagnosed with early cancer, and he's the first man I came to at the shelter when I was cancer-free to tell him, Rev, I'm cancer-free. This man has always been there. I complain, I say what I say, but this man is always, this man is straight up. And I just wanted to be here today because I've been here for 3 months. I was homeless for 3 years in my car. I had problems at Newman Leathers. I went to Hoboken Police, this is a separate issue. I moved to Baltimore 4 years ago to go to Johns Hopkins City Chemo Cancer Center to discuss bone marrow transplant. And then we all got hit with COVID. And I'm a compromised immune system. When I go back on my chemo medication, I'm immunocompromised. Nobody knows what I go through. I'm 53. I have no family support. But Rev met my mother when she was still alive. And I just want to say thank you because I would still be at the Hoboken shelter. I was there for 4 months. It's not easy. It was hard work. I was getting up at 5:30 in the morning. I have blood transfusions every 8 weeks. Sometimes it could be sooner. I'm on IV steroids. I'm very transparent about my blood disorder because I'm supposed to be back on a $500,000 chemo drug called Solaris, but I had side effects. So I just wanted to say thank you because I couldn't live at the shelter one more day. I couldn't live in my car one more day. My engine blew because of a water coolant. And I'm Ukrainian American, I'm tough. I don't like the war in Ukraine. Putin's losing, I understand that. But I want to say thank you because it's been a hard journey and it's not getting any easier. And the fact that I have somewhere to go at night, I can go to my doctors. I was at John Third Cancer Center. I got New York City across the way. I went to Memorial Sloan Kettering. So I just wanted to say thanks because it's been a rough road. Nothing is easy for me. And if you look at me, you think I'm healthy. But if you look at my blood work, it's bad. So I just, sorry for crying, but I spoke to Russo a few years ago. He helped me out with the situation at Newman Leathers. I never thought I would be homeless. Why? I'm a hardworking woman. You know, I got a 4-year degree in journalism. I wrote here for a Hudson Reporter. I went to Maryland, I had a teaching job. But when you're sick with an autoimmune disease like I have, you have moments you can't work. The drugs make you tired. And people don't give you sympathy because if you don't walk around saying, God forbid, I have cancer, people don't understand, like I'm truly sick. The only cure for me is a bone marrow transplant. And I'm getting older. So I just wanted to say thank you because this man knows my history. He met my mom when she was alive. And the Hoboken shelter, you know, I've made some, you know, I've talked to you about the bad stuff and stuff. But they were always there for me too. In the morning time when I was renting space, I went there, I got coffee, I got donuts, I got donations. And then when I was homeless, I'll wrap it up. My friend dropped me off at Hackensack Emergency Room because my hemoglobin dropped to 7, which is low. So I was admitted into the hospital, I got 2 units of blood. The shuttle, I had nowhere to go. My car was returned to Volkswagen. And I said, take me to the shelter. The first person I saw was Spike. I said, Spike, I need a place to stay. He goes, you're late. He goes, go to the warming center. I said, no, you don't understand. I just know Hoboken shelter. He goes, I'm telling you, get on the bus, you'll have a place to stay. That was January 10th. Anybody who thinks I got here because I'm privileged, anybody who thinks I got here because I look the way I look, there's absolutely no way. I worked my butt off. He worked with me, Norma worked with me, Mary from Garden, and now that I'm here, I got my own place, my rent, my food, you know, I don't want to get into anything else, but I just want to say thank you to Dr. Russo and introduce myself because it's been a hell of a journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sherry Shahab.
Hello, my name is Sherry.
Spelling of the last name.
Can you spell the last name, please?
S-H-A-H-A-T. Egyptian last name.
Did you hear that, Sherry?
I got it, thank you.
Okay, I want to, how do you say, reiterate on something Carmen said. That in the building here at Fox Hill Gardens, not downtown, not uptown, here, some of the tenants are not behaving very well. And it's bringing the building down and it's horrible. Most of us are trying to get the new look, you know, like you're fixing the apartments, you're gonna bring in the washing machines and things like that. And we have to feel that things are gonna go good, except for these people that are bringing the building down. And the way they're doing it is being very disrespectful. As a lady, I get very insulted when men are talking dirty. I don't wanna say the comments they make, but it bothers me very bad when men talk dirty. They think nothing of the dirt they say, they think nothing of how they're treating women. So I have one suggestion that may help. If we complain, if a lady goes in the office and says, look, so-and-so talked out of place to me, or outside they were really, you know, indecent or something, and we make a complaint, can they get a warning? And then if they repeat it, maybe action could be taken, because they go on and on like, oh, I can say what I want. Oh, they say things like, oh, it's grown-up talk. I said, not to me, it's indecent talk. You know, everybody doesn't talk the way you talk. Or, you know, the disrespect and the loudness, the screaming and the cursing. If we could do something about that, then it's a little better. One more step of getting the building better. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry.
Madam President? Sorry, I came in late. Yes,
And I'm going to let you speak today, but I will no longer allow it. If you're not here at the beginning, when it's over, okay?
my apologies, and I appreciate your indulgence. I won't be long. Thank you, board, and to the residents.
Please state your name and your last name for the court
I
reporter.
am going to do that, although she knows my voice. Manuel Rivera Soler.
Maddie, I'm having a hard time hearing you. You're just gonna have to speak louder, please.
Manuel Rivera Soler. Good?
Yeah, just try to speak louder to the mic because you're a little dark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, my apologies. I just want to ask 3 questions and maybe a comment to be quick. Resolution 230703, Resolution 230706, Resolution 230708. In 230706, will members of the public be able to understand when this auction is taking place or when it's concluded, what items were sold, what was the net gain as opposed to the cost for participating in the auction? And the other 3, anyone could answer at their leisure. Also, I would like to take a moment to just say I appreciate all of the advances that have been going on in regards to, I see some of the buildings exteriors cleaner, because I know that I was always the one asking for where's the power wash, but I don't know, has it been continuing, will it continue? That's just one question. Second question, in regards to how secure again are the buildings? Some people have been asking me that they don't seem to be secure. I'm just conveying the message. Don't kill the messenger. Thirdly, I would like to also say, as far as the surveys for the complex, it would be more important for the members of the public and the residents of the housing, there be some way that they can fill out the surveys in property at some place, because there's a lot of people who are not participating in the surveys, and I say this survey, but in Hoboken in general, and there's 3 out there now that are almost deadlined. So if members of the public, and through you and through the body, if they could help with those surveys. And again, if you are going to hold a meeting, it should be at least closer to a campus so that people could participate, because the other one was also, the last one was very scarcely attended, even though there was a good crowd. But we need more residents in these events, this type of events. So I appreciate again the attention. One last thing, and again, the process for a person becoming a member of this board, I needed to understand how complex is it, because a person applies. I know that you don't pick them, but if there's anything you could let people who are interested how to apply, even people in the building who qualify, even members of other complex. Let's try to give them a heads up or a hands out so they could, help get on some of these boards, because it would behoove this board to have people such as yourself and others who feel the people's pain. And I thank you very much for your attention, and I thank you for your indulgence. Thank you.
I believe that, Corinne will know, but I believe all the surveys are in the manager's office.
Excuse me, if you guys are going to have private conversations, I ask that you please step outside into the hall. Thank you.
So I believe the surveys are in you could ask your manager for the survey.
Talking to them.
So you can ask your manager for the survey, for any of the surveys.
So the surveys that are out, Commissioner Seitzman says that they're in the manager's office if they need help completing them. If anybody needs help online, Hopes does have a computer lab at the Housing Authority, 532. We do have a permanent person there now. So they are there daily 9 to 5, so anyone can go into the computer lab and the staff can help them, assist them with completing it if they like to do it online. It closes tomorrow?
At 6.
Okay, so the survey is closed tomorrow at 6 p.m. So if anyone here would like to complete a survey, see your managers, and off-site, you can go to the manager's office, or you can even go to the Hope's office at the Family Resource Center. Correct. I believe it's a tenant survey. I don't know. He said a few surveys are out, so I'm not quite sure which ones he was talking about.
The only survey I know is the one that's being performed by the city redevelopment consultant. That's on the city website.
Correct.
And in our office, if you want to come to our office, because it's done by the consultants that are doing the city redevelopment plan.
And Manny, also responding to your questions concerning some of the agenda items that are on there. If you stick around, I know usually when we call the resolution, we ask the director if he has anything to say. He can further go into information about each resolution, so you'll be able to know what it's about. Motion to close public portion.
Motion.
Second.
Director?
Thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to just make a note on some of the issues that came up regarding lease enforcement. It is important for us to communicate, as you know. When you have that first item that I think you even mentioned, Carmen, that our management had sent them a notice, we need that second notice to them, that third. That way we can build that case. And that's just crucial. So we need to communicate, whether it's on our other developments or this development. We need to keep that communication going. It really matters when you go into the manager's office and say, I was in the elevator with that guy and he said, Sherry, he said those things, right? It matters. Yes, that's enforceable. And yes, that is reason for a notice. And yes, we all need to do that because we can't do it alone. No one can. We have the ability to move it, but we need you to tell us that that's going on. I think you have a great management team here. You think? I think they're great, and I think they will follow up on that for you. They know what they're doing, and we know how to evict. We've got some of that going on these days. So yes, we will keep working on that for you. I just want to make a note real quick because, ma'am, our Ukrainian friend, how do you say your name?
Last name?
Yes.
Of
Chado. Of Chado. Okay, I'll get there. I'm sorry for doing that. But it really touches my heart that we can help. That's what we're for. And, you know, so we've got problems. Are we all perfect? No. But when I hear about these fine gentlemen that are in the community, and I know the other people around the table, and I know my staff, and that's why we're here. We're housing people. That's what we've dedicated our lives to. Are we perfect? No. But to hear that we're able to provide housing for people that are in your situation, I can go home and smile. So thank you and welcome. So, glad to have you. I would like to ask for just a real quick moment of silence. Our valued resident, Renee Johnson, passed this past week, a valued, respected, and loved member of the Johnson family. I would get out of my car and we'd talk, get in my car, get out of my car, we'd stop, we'd talk in the morning, in the afternoon. Renee will be missed by so many at HHA. So, Renee. Thank you. It has been a shorter time than usual between board meetings. Since our June board meeting was delayed until June 20th on account of the Canadian smoke, the time has gone by quickly for me because of and I also had a week and a couple days of vacation in between, so it's good to be back to everyone. I would like a special thank you to my staff for handling our day-to-day operations while I was away. Just catching up. HHA staff, if you've heard, we did have a kickball game. The staff, we shut down one day at about 2 o'clock and we went out and played kickball and had water and Gatorade, and we actually laughed together and ran some bases and had some fun. I won't say who won. We continue.
Be invited next time?
I think we can. I think we can open that up. I'd be glad to do that. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. You need to be a kid now and then, right? You need to be a kid now and then. And with all the stress that our staff handles, with sometimes, as you know, sometimes it's tough, right? People get angry, people have issues, people do all that. Our staff handles it. They smile, they keep on going. I am just so proud of my staff for doing that now and then. You know, and we're not the private sector. We can't give big bonuses. We can't do all, you know, so for us to get together now and then and do that is important. A couple issues again on evictions. Just a note to our families, we have been sending notices to quit. A notice to quit is essentially an eviction notice. It's not your warning. Notice to cease is a warning. Those are starting to go out. Many people have seen them already, and they've been on our office to talk about them. Sometimes they're due to behavior, at times, of family members in the household that are not the head of household. Right? Sometimes it's a family member, that might be a child, might be somebody else, that has a serious issue, does something serious out in our developments, and you get a notice to quit, get a notice of eviction. You know, sometimes that's serious. I would remind those that are heads of household that you do bear the burden and responsibility of the actions of those on your lease. You're the adult in the house, right? You bear that responsibility. I have always despised the task of evicting families. We never want to do it. We always want to talk to people. We always want to avoid it. It is the absolute worst part of my chosen profession. You have to be a good steward of our living units. At times it's necessary. We're always open to meeting with any resident that receives a notice to quit, always. So if you should be in that situation, whether it is the notices that went out recently for non-payment of rent, that notices to quit went out, that are saying come in and see us within 30 days, or we're going to file a court action, whether it's that or whether it's a behavioral issue that maybe not you, maybe it was your son, your daughter, somebody that's on your lease that may have done something out there that is illegal. Please, if you got a problem, come and see us, because those notices to quit are going out, and you're going to see them as they pass through. Talk to your children so they understand that their actions may place you in jeopardy of losing your apartment. It's serious. It's got to happen. And again, that's one of those things of community. The police can do their part. The housing authority can do their part. Families have to do your part. Talk to your kids. Make your kids understand how serious it really is when something happens, because the police are out there doing their best, and so are we. Which leads me well, I think, into the security committee meeting topic, that we met and had a good meeting with the police on July 10th. Sergeant Collins was there, Sergeant McCord, Chief Aguirre, Commissioners Apostado, Reyes, and Forbes, along with HHA staff. I said we had a lively meeting. We had a lively meeting.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, it was a good thing. It was a good thing. I think we put it on the table. We said, how are we going to work better together? What are the frustrations we're having? What are the limitations the police have? What are the limitations we have? We're going to be coming back and meeting again. The housing authority is often frustrated that the HPD can't deal with some crowds sometimes. HPD is frustrated that the housing authority takes so long to evict and enforce our own policies, and we've just got to keep communicating and move forward. You know, our nighttime policy's there. We're trying to enforce that. I think we're getting better all the time. I think we did come up with a few plans of action, and then I'll ask any of the commissioners to chip in. I think we did agree that we'll revise our cookout area policy to designate areas to include a permit process for the use of tents in those areas. We'll make it clear that tents are not to be erected anywhere else without the direct approval of the housing authority. In order to better lease violations, we'd like to see a renewed effort between us and the police to identify residents that are breaking our policies, so we can take lease enforcement actions against individuals. That includes us as a housing authority, taking more time to review videos and identify people overnight, and hopefully HPD working with us to identify those folks. We will renew those efforts to review cameras. We will, with our legal counsel, review the nighttime policy. I think the one we passed last year was good, but I think it needs some tweaks from our conversation the other day. So we'll get together and take a look at that and see if there's things we can do better. And we agreed to follow up and meet again in August. So that's kind of my spiel on what happened at that meeting. It was an intense meeting, and I think I appreciate so much the commissioners that made it happen. We all had input. So, folks on that committee, you want to add?
I would just like to add that as a resident, I hear you guys. I hear your frustration. I know what you're going through. It's not only at this site, it's across the entire campus. You guys are not the only ones that are having the issues. Just don't think that your issues and what you come here and say is falling on deaf ears, because it's not. We are working, we are doing the best we can to legally try to stop what's going on, but everything is a process. It's not going to happen overnight. And we as residents also have to hold our neighbors accountable. And I think that that's something that some of us don't do. So we also need more resident involvement to help us gain the a grasp on the security issues that we're having across the entire campuses.
Yeah, I will say that first, the next meeting needs to be, I think, in person, so that you just get a different feel when you're sitting there across from someone and you can feel the energy and the passion from it's a lot different on Zoom. So I think I think we share a lot of the same interests, the Hoboken Police Department and our housing authority, whether it's the staff or the commissioners. We all want the same thing. Sometimes there's gray areas between policies and what the law is and what's enforceable. And it's a really tough job that the Hoboken Police Department has. I went down to the police station, and the chief allowed me to sit with Sergeant Collins and Sergeant Duke to review some tapes and see some footage of body cameras and what they have to deal with. We spent a good hour sitting there and first-hand experience of exactly what Sergeant Collins has to deal with at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's impossible. It's literally impossible what he has to deal with. Just the fact of trying to get someone to move a parked car, or try to get a double parked car, or trying to get people to go away or go home from a loud party. The attitude, the total disrespect that they are encountered with many times, not all the time, and not everybody, and most of the time it's not even people that live here.
Exactly.
It's appalling, and it makes you realize that it's really hard what they do. And I know we all sit at home and try to say, why are you not doing this, why are you not doing that, but until you see it firsthand and put yourself in their shoes, you don't get the perspective. So I thank the chief for allowing me to do that. I think we have a lot, and I will say, I have to say, some of the stuff I saw that, the police all police around this country get a bad rap. That they're disrespectful, they're animals, they're racist, they're whatever they are.
Stop the stereotypes.
They just, some of the times they give a lot of breaks. I'm not saying all of them, but sometimes what I experienced was there were things that they could have wrote a ticket, or they could have done things, and they went out above and beyond to allow that person an opportunity to correct themselves and follow the law. So it's tough. It's really tough. We're working hard. We spent a lot of time. We're continuing to spend time. The permit process, I think, is going to be big. I think if we put the onus on some of these people that are having parties and disrespecting our property, and there's a monetary consequence attached to that, I think that will hit hit someone's pocket and they'll clean up after themselves, or they're treat our property with respect. So I think that's important, that we need to put that policy in place and get to the drawing board to do that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Sergeant? No, you're good. We've said it all.
It's his turn.
Yeah, no, from my perspective, to see the body cam during the meeting, it was an eye-opener for me to actually see from a police officer perspective on what they see. It's different if you drive by and you see folks hanging out, but to actually see it from a body cam perspective, I have a totally different view on how the police handle things now, based on seeing the body cam footage and police action. Hey, just move along if you don't live here, doing everything they have to do. But I think we really have to draw a line in the sand, as we mentioned at the meeting, and go after some of the residents who are harboring some of these folks who are doing these things. We come to the meetings and we're rah-rahing, but a lot of us who are rah-rahing had grandkids and nephews and nieces who are out here doing the shenanigans. So, so let's call a spade, and if we really want change, let's look in our own backyard and make that change, and then that change will trickle down. So nothing's going to happen on this level if folks who are in the HHA are still allowing their relatives to do the things they're doing and hide and live in their house. So it's a tough job for the police, but it's even tougher for us because we know who the residents are who still have their kids who are not on the lease, but still living in their overhouse apartment. So let's just call it what it is and start tackling folks from the inside out and not from the outside in. That's just my 2 words. Sergeant.
Oh, gosh.
Got to do it.
Hi. Hello. Good evening, Sergeant Willie Collins, Hoboken Police, COLLINS. So just on that note, I was a part of the public safety meeting, and I'm sorry for having my back to you, but I know I got to speak into this. Thank you. I'll be the first to say, nobody in this world, I think you just said it before, nobody's perfect. I'm fully aware of, so I'm a police officer for 20 years, and I'm with the Hoboken Police for 22, and nobody's perfect there either. I'll be the first to say it. There's nobody in this world that's perfect except God. People do make mistakes. I hear some comments sometimes. I could speak for the Hoboken Police Department. We do take it, we want to fix as much as we can. This police department wants to fix as much as it can. And we take from every corner of this city, north, south, east, and west, we take it serious. If there's a problem at Maxwell Park, we want to fix it. If there's a problem in the courtyard of the Housing Authority, we want to fix it. Some of the negative, it just, we're human beings too, and that's the one thing I want people to realize. Police throughout this whole country and this world, we're not machines, we're not robots. We have families also that we want to go home to, and kids that look up to us as well, and we want to be there for everybody. Speaking for the Hoboken Police and our mission right now, it is to help everybody. I take it personal, the Housing Authority myself, because for me, I was assigned down there when I was a new cop. I walked down there for years. And the relationship we have now, that I'm able to call 2 directors at bizarre times all day and night, and they actually answer, it just goes to show you that everybody's taking it personal. And I recently, Barbara Ray has got a call that she shouldn't have got, but she answered and she went out and was out there like a soldier trying to fix things too. So I can tell you this, from the police point of view, your Housing Authority, people are working for you. Your commissioners are working for you. Commissioner Epistado, he came and sat with us for an hour, like you said, and he wanted to see, and then he listened to me and to Sergeant McCourt explain law and Attorney General guidelines and why not, and misunderstanding and TV shows of why police can't do certain things and why we can. It does hurt. He watched body camera footage of where we're trying to make it better. And I would say, ultimately, it's only a very, very small percent of people that they ruin it for the large percent. That's true. I believe that anyway. But anybody with troubles or problems, you could always call this police department. Chief Aguiar, our command staff pride themselves on not turning anybody away. We'll do the very best we can. We were towing cars last night on the public streets in the Housing Authority, blocking a hydrant by 6:55, 2 in the morning. I was working last night till 4. The guys were down there. We had an issue by 520 Jackson last night. All resolved, cars moved, doing our very, very best. Issues here at Fox Hill, let us know. Whoever was said about Danny, from the police point of view, I'll tell you, I call him too, all odd hours, and guy always answers the phone. So listen, with the police, we're always willing to work. If you know certain officers, there's Officer Huggins, Mormon, Bates. If you feel more comfortable talking to certain officers, we'll make them available for you. If you want to speak to a supervisor, I'm always around. Anything we could do to make it better, we're all one team. So we do want to make it better. I can promise you that. We're trying our very best. Nobody's perfect. We're trying our very best. If anybody has questions for me or anything like that, if you want to see me after the meeting, I'm here. Otherwise, I thank you, and we're just going to keep trying to make it better as we go.
Thank you, Sergeant Collins. Director, I'd just like to say that, as I said in that meeting, and Sergeant Collins said before, I was part of that meeting, and to me it's a little bit more personal than maybe a lot of people here because I lived there, right? So I did take it personally, and I was very upset, and I once again want to apologize to them because they have been nothing but great to me personally, and when I call or when the director calls or anybody calls, they do come out. I understand now, seeing it from a different perspective. As a resident, I have the same frustrations you have. Why can't they just get them off the grounds? That's what I want to see, but there's laws that they have to follow. So as I've always said, I've always been the first ones to applaud them when they do a great job, but I'm also going to call it out when I feel as a resident that the job wasn't being done properly or that I felt wasn't being done properly. So again, Sergeant Collins, to yourself, to the chief, I apologize for taking it so personally, but I do appreciate you guys, and I do appreciate what you guys do down there.
Thank you. From my perspective, taking it personally is the beginning of solving it. Because we've got to be, our heart's got to be into this, and I think we're making progress. So thank you all for helping. Through the Special Harrison Gardens Capital Fund allocation, our design for closing off the Harrison Gardens courtyard is underway. It is under design. They're taking a look at how to do that, plus how to replace the tiles, the blocks on the ground that keep shifting and shifting and shifting. We applied for a special security grant in June. Ms. Richmond applied for that, which we hope will pay for much of that. Court actions for cause, as we mentioned before, have begun. We had a recent firearms discharge, and that's already been filed. So we have completed the installation of additional lighting. Thank you, City, for our CDBG grant on that. This lit up our darkest areas, provides supplemental lighting at areas such as our basketball court. I will be completing my round of director meetings in July and August. On the Hoboken Housing Forward update, the Higher Gruel group chosen by the city is looking hopefully at a completed draft by September, August, September, right? Right, there, right, Councilman? Community-wide meeting was held on June 15th at the Boys and Girls Club, and to update Hoboken, particularly our residents. If you remember, we held one on March 22nd at 221 and Jackson, and we were out the door. There were so many people. I mean, we needed a bigger space. So let's get a bigger space with the Boys and Girls Club, and we get 50 people. So, but we had folks come, and I think it was a great breakout sessions. Thanks to Gary Greenberg and the Boys and Girls Club. That planning group has published that survey that can be accessed through the city's website. And in my report anyway, I put the link to the website. We are working with staff and legal counsel on doing a capital needs plan RFP. This is all part of our redevelopment project to map out our capital needs for the next 10 to 15 years. We're doing one for those capital needs and one for our future consulting needs, because our technical assistance that has been given to us by HUD is not going to last forever. Before you tonight is the results of the evaluation committee published their request for qualifications for developers. They've completed their work and has a recommendation in front of you tonight. That recommendation will give us a group of 8 development firms that HHA will look toward when we publish our request for proposals, which will be our next step. This resolution tonight does not have us enter into a contract with the developer. All it does is pre-qualify developers that they are qualified to move forward with us when we do an RFP. I would like to thank that evaluation committee under Ms. Richmond's chairmanship for their hard work in pre-qualifying those developers, turning them inside out, making sure they've got the type of experience we would want when we actually publish our RFPs. They worked hard and they actually finished a bit ahead of schedule. So thank you, everyone. Make the councilman happy. We're pushing. So next is RFP time, and we want to go as fast as you do. Our redevelopment team continues to meet regularly with our technical advisors from the enterprise partners, our attorney, our staff, and HUD representation, represented by Mr. Ellis Wilson Henry. For the first time last week, we held a joint meeting with Enterprise and the city's hired rural consultants. So we're getting them on the same page. I believe as we get closer to making our first steps a reality, it's important that we all be on the same page and they agree. Our team's next task will be to develop and publish those requests for proposals. I mean, we're getting there, right? I mean, that's awesome. We're getting there.
Just a quick question.
Yeah,
do you guys publish like meeting minutes of those meetings?
Those meeting minutes aren't usually taken of our procurement process, so we don't have meeting minutes. No, they didn't take meeting minutes of those.
Is there any notes or?
I think they were just taken.
Nobody does like a.
We didn't take any.
We don't have a secretary.
Yeah, we didn't have a secretary.
Right, thank you.
Well, to build on Commissioner's question, when I was chair of the procurement subcommittee, I did take notes and minutes of meetings, and I'd like to know why it was not done for any meetings for this evaluation.
Well,
and Commissioner Sands, just talking to the mic, please.
Sure, I'll try to do better.
In all the procurement meetings I've been in, we've never had meeting minutes published. And I don't remember, and I don't think I've seen a record of any that were taken by you. Maybe you submitted them to me, but I don't remember that.
I did not submit meeting minutes, but I did take meeting minutes. And I would ask...
Well, unless they're submitted, they're not real.
Well, I would simply ask that minutes be produced.
Right. Well, our subcommittees traditionally don't do minutes. I mean,
well, for example,
we don't.
When did the committee meet? When was the last time the committee met?
The last time they met, Ms. Richmond, when was the last time you guys met?
July 10th.
July 10th.
July 10th.
Monday, July 10th.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. What meeting? What committee is that?
That was the evaluation committee that was set up to take a look at the qualifications of these 8 developers firms that put in proposals to us.
So what group is that?
That is a group that is identified under, is it tab 8? Yeah, if you'll take a look at those names there. We had passed, if you remember, a procurement policy to specifically in choosing a developer. And that procurement policy states that I would choose a group of 5 to 7 individuals that would represent the community that would be on this evaluation committee. And that is what we did, and you'll see their names here. We had those 7 members, plus 3 advisory.
Oh, so this is not the professional procurement committee?
No, this is a special committee.
This is another...
A special committee just to take a look at the development.
We spoke about it at
No, I remember now.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Special committee.
I do think going forward, we should have somebody there taking notes. That would be my.
Yeah, we'll be glad.
opinion.
We'll be glad to do that.
I don't know if Corinne is able to, or I think
That's a great idea, Commissioner, and I would volunteer.
You're on.
I'm not, but I would volunteer to take notes at these meetings and preserve the minutes.
So traditionally,
yeah, so if we can
yeah,
get
like-
we can get notes.
Yeah, like for
I think-
example, at the security committee, we didn't take minutes of this.
No, I know, but that's commissioners added, right? This is like an ad hoc committee of residents. We should know as commissioners and the board what everyone's talking about. I think. I mean, anybody have a comment?
Yeah, I think the only thing I would want to add to that is that it's not just, I mean, it's very specific in who was chosen for the committee, a representative from the city, a representative from the Board of Commissioners, representatives from staff at the Housing Authority. So, I mean, if you look at where each person is and who they are and how they're associated, I think it's a good makeup of all of those things. And Commissioner Lewitt is the representative from this body on that committee, and maybe we could just have a synopsis or at the next meeting when you guys meet, just come back to the board and kind of report to us as to what happened, whether that's formally through minutes or whether that's just an informal kind of presentation by Commissioner Lewitt. I think the Commission has a good point to say we should just be apprised as to what's going on.
Yeah.
That's it.
I have no problem with that. And I think the next time they'll be meeting is probably when we publish the RFP and get responses from the RFP. So on that next round, we'll be establishing that.
And is it possible to add that committee to this list and put when they meet?
Oh, yeah, sure.
As far as, yeah.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's in the minutes.
Yeah, sure, we can do that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great idea.
No problem.
Thank you.
You betcha. Where was I? So our redevelopment time committee continues to meet regularly. Thank you. I'm almost done. The enterprise team are beginning our work on management needs. Again, the technical assistance from HUD has also given us a draft procurement policy with input of that team that we're going over with our legal counsel and looking forward to have it to the board for consideration in the near future. Our newsletter is...
Excuse me, Director, before you move on to the newsletter, I have questions regarding the report prepared by the committee.
Okay, we are going to do that when we get to moving on, when we get to that resolution.
Okay.
I would suggest that we talk about it when we get to that resolution, because that's part of the resolution.
All right.
Right? Is that good?
I can speak to both you and the chair of that committee when that resolution comes up for a vote.
Yeah, I think any commissioner can bring up a topic of discussion during discussion for, is there any, when the chair says, is there any discussion, anything could be brought up at that point.
Okay, then I will save my questions for that.
Good. Corinne, you want to talk a little bit about your newsletter and the Hall of Fame?
Good evening, everyone. Corinne Richmond, Policy and Outreach Specialist here at the Authority. So the newsletter is out. We publish it quarterly, and it gives a highlight of everything that we are doing here at the Hoboken Housing Authority. And concerning the Hall of Fame, we had our second edition of the Hall of Fame, I believe, on June 14th. And we had three inductees, Gerald Lynch, Jason Blanks, and Kayla Ferment. All were somehow related to the housing authority in the fact that they've lived here when they were younger or they were born and raised here, and they have gone to be basketball coaches, baseball coach, and one of Kayla Ferment is a representative in, I think in Washington, D.C. Is a House representative in Washington, D.C. For everyone that would like to mention someone to be part of the HHA Hall of Fame, I would advise that you send me a text message or you write me an email or you reach out to me. We welcome everyone in every walk of life. Thank you.
One thing. Jory, can we, I know we talked about this in the past, but there's no way to, I don't think we added the emails or cell phones of the commissioners on here.
Yes,
it doesn't look like there's a lot of room.
Yes, it's a space. It's a space issue because we have so much information that we need to cover. So if we were to add all the information of the commissioners, it will be an issue. But the information is on the website. For everyone that would like to reach out to the commissioner, they can go to the website, which is the official means of communication.
And we'll keep working on that. We'll see.
I think we should add a section. We're going to call that the Commissioner's Corner, and Chairwoman Reyes is going to participate.
Oh, you volunteering? He's adding more work. I say every month one of us do it. How about that?
That's not a bad idea. Actually, it's actually a really good idea.
For the second month.
I'm very open to that. Yeah.
I would defer to the Vice Chair. I don't want to,
So we'll, I'll knock my comments down to half on here, and then you guys can do the other, or you guys can do it all. We continue to meet with residents at my office. We've met with 6 residents since our June board meeting, and it was a short month. So we continue to encourage any resident that wishes to meet with me to schedule an appointment through the manager's office. Punch list inspections are being done on phase 1 of the renovations here. We met with our fee accountant last week to identify funds for our next round of repairs, and we expect to identify and start assigning that work to architectural teams in August. We did have a meet and greet here at Fox Hill. Thank you for coming. Housing for Hoboken will be meeting on July 25th, and I'll be updating the trustees on our redevelopment project. The special allocation of capital funding for Harrison is undergoing planning. All of it right now is at the architects under plan. The laundry room equipment installation starts next week. Yay. New laundry cards are being dispersed. They've got $5 on them. So get your laundry card. They got a free $5. So that's good. Preloaded with $5. See your manager. They'll get you your cards. Our security camera system upgrades, which is the infrastructure switches that really need to be done. They're old. We've been trying to get money for this for a long time, and we thank again CDBG. They are out for bids, so we hope to be back to you in August with a contract for that. Keep our camera system fresh. The emergency generator work is in progress. Pre-installation is complete. We're just waiting for the generators to actually arrive. So the last, I hope, of our supply chain issues. Monroe Gardens boiler replacements in design. We're having a meeting tomorrow with the engineers on that project. We hope to get that out to bid soon. On our uniform physical condition standards, our REAC issues, or what we're calling now also our Inspire inspections that HUD's going to be doing. As I've told you a number of times, we found a number of things that are true throughout our units. Where our sprinkler head damage within the units, that work is out to bid now, hopefully to you in August. Interior door replacements, that resolution is in front of you tonight. We can mention that when we get to that part. Plaster work in units is being done in-house. and we're hoping to be able to do force account labor with that. We're having a meeting with our local 97 union about that issue. Kitchen cabinet repair through our approved contractor, window repair being done in-house and by a contractor, and sidewalk repair. The work is happening as we speak. If you hear some grinding out there on sidewalks, they're actually grinding down our sidewalks and replacing as needed. As a result of the increased workload in the management department, everything we've talked about with legal, etc., I have authorized the position of a new assistant to the director of management. So she started with us this past week. Jimena, stand up and say hello to everybody. Fox Hill, don't get too angry. We stole her from here. I know. But she's very talented, and we're glad to have you aboard, Jimena. I think you're going to do great things over there. Our monthly vacancy report is attached, 96%. Again, great, excellent. Fox Hill, 96%, excellent. We just have a little bragging to do, attachment 3, just a little touch, that we looked at New Jersey public housing. And New Jersey public housing is at, I believe, 92% occupancy overall. 92%. We are at 96%. If you look at their history over the past 3 years, it's been going down, 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 down. If you look at our history, once we hit 2021, which is right past the elevator project, it's gone up, 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 down to where we are, up to where we are today. So I just want to brag on that. That's really a great job by maintenance and by management. And I think Jackie is on the Zoom. Jackie and her local 55. Thank you, Jackie. And then Frank and his management team leasing up units. Because once she gets them done, they got to get leased and people got to get in. So thank you all for your great work. We have been working on downsizing folks in units. If you're in a unit and you got 3 bedrooms and you've only got 2 people, time to downsize. So we've actually been doing some of these now. Doesn't always make people happy, but understand that that's part of what we do. We thank the families that have already been downsized and do understand to make more units available for families with children. When I do ask the residents to work with their manager, if downsizing is appropriate for your families, we know it's hard to move, we do, but those are the rules. That we have to be fair and get a correct size for your family. Rent collection issues, we are working away at it. And Frank, you want to give us a little synopsis of where we are?
Good evening, everybody. Frank Merchant, Director of Management. Commissioner Pistato, I owed you one from last month, so I put 2 this month.
Where's
so
that?
one is the one ending 5/31, and then there's the one ending 4/30. So you'll see them June and May. So this is a really good.
About 5 pages back after my report. There, you got your hand. Okay.
So this is a good breakdown that we'll be able to now, as we're going month to month, you'll be able to see the impact of what's happening with the repayments, what's happening with outstanding rent, how many people are outstanding. At first glance, what we can tell here is 47%. If we let's look at the one that has the heading June 23rd, which is the recent one. The other one is for your. So this is where we are. June of 2023 was probably the worst rent collection we've had in history, in the recent history. It's alarming. We've been talking about what we're seeing in the trend of rents and how much people are falling behind. June just happened to be our low moment, kind of like we just saw in that other slide for occupancy. The reason why I wanted to show you guys that occupancy chart before we talked about this If you take a look at that chart and you see what the state is doing, what we did, that has to do with the singular focus of what we were able to do. Our priority was vacancies. First, we did the software conversion. When we were done with the software conversion, right at the end of October, we had a clear picture. Everybody was fresh in the system. Right there, we switched over. Now our system and pick matched. Now the next step was vacancies. Almost 200 vacancies at the time, 190 something, right? We have since then, we are down to the last 30 something units that we need to get into, which now brings us to, we've reached that place, we're gonna let that ride, that's gonna continue going. Now we've officially switched over, and what we started in October of last year, which was the tenant rent collection with the repayment agreements. We started with the statement. You guys wanted to make sure, and I thought that was a great idea, that everybody got statements instead of receipts. People started to see what they had. That brought up a lot of questions from what was on those statements for folks. We had a lot of conversations. The managers had opportunities to talk to tenants about that. Some folks got into repayment, some folks didn't. We now are at that stage. So the letters went out, the notices to quit. More than 500 notices to quit went out in June 29th. On June 7th, again, because now those notices to quit get counted every 31 days. 31 days from June 29th will be the first date that we're gonna now, everybody that didn't respond, everybody that didn't, all of those are going court. So at that point,
what date is that?
July 29th, right? So what council prepared was for the specific, those 20 people that we continue to talk about, the larger amounts, we did do certified for them to add an extra layer, but that doesn't mean that we're not moving with everybody. So the whole point is, now we're at the point that, unfortunately, we spoke about repayments, we spoke about we need to pay the rent, we spoke about here's your statements. We are here. The good news that I have for you today is that people picked up the phone. So they got that letter. I don't have exact numbers for you right now, but the truth of the matter is that I know over $100,000 in repayments came in immediately after that. A lot of people just paid. It's a little alarming because even through those balances, there might be people that only owe $50, right? So, but now they know, listen, I'm just going to be current, and they're going to be getting that notice, and we're going to get to the point that we are caught up to a normal level of rent collection. I know that Commissioner Seisman, she heard it in the conference. This is something that's plaguing the entire country. But it doesn't mean that we can't be the ones to show the rest of the country how to do it and how to get to that point that look what we did with the vacancies. We're about to do that with rent collections. So as we tighten the bolts, I just ask for your help, because you're going to receive now the calls. Because for every person that gets a notice, unfortunately, then it's all the phone calls. What are we doing? No, all we need is for the tenants to call the office, and we will enter to repayment agreements with whoever would like to. We don't want to go to court. We want to get the rent collection stabilized, and I think that we can do it. And very similar to what the director was saying about not just for the families who are in rent collection, for families who are being affected because of the actions of their family members that are on their lease, right? We need to come together, because the matriarchs, the patriarchs, the family members that are here, that they're the ones that we're gonna feel the worst about when we have to do an eviction. When we have to evict that mom that didn't know what was happening in the courtyard, and it's beyond her control. So we're entering a tough stage right now. This is not gonna be like the vacancy, because vacancy correction is happy people getting apartments, right? Rent collection is people getting evicted. So now, unfortunately, all we need is everybody to just come to the table and let's work together. Just like we're doing with the police, and we want a partnership with the police, we want a partnership with our tenants. You are not alone in what you're experiencing as a tenant. I want them to understand that. And that relief of that repayment agreement frees you from that balance that's over your head. You still have to pay it, but it's at 0 interest for up to 10 years. No one is gonna give you a loan, 0 interest for 10 years. The housing authority is willing to do this right now to keep you in your apartment. Please take advantage of that opportunity. But if not, unfortunately, what we're gonna see is a lot of court dates, and then that'll be.
So this is just an agreement,
Yes.
the $100,000, it's just an agreement to pay.
Right.
So how much of that we actually collected already?
That, I'll get you numbers. You'll see good numbers next month when you do this report. You'll be able to see this. So that's why I wanted to show you. Well, you'll see this. So let me walk you through it. Yep.
Go over these numbers here.
So what we're looking at is
1,354 total units.
that is the complete.
678 of those units
are outstanding in rent. Correct.
So almost 50% of all the housing units are not paying their rent.
47%.
Are behind in some way, right? Whether it's $100 or
So, okay,
$20,000.
so then, what's the 579,000?
That is what our monthly rent roll is for
It's supposed to be.
what it's supposed to be. So that way it gives you an idea. Our balance right now is a little bit over 2 months outstanding. That's why I kind of wanted to put that number
I don't
in for
get
you.
though, what's the 1.3 million?
That is the total balance owed right now. Every month, if so, that's what's
But
owed to us.
It was that a year ago.
Correct. Yeah. So that's why people didn't pay. Most people didn't enter into repayment agreements.
6 months ago, you came in here and you were like, oh, we're making tremendous.
We did in the beginning. And that was kind of already anticipated even in the chart that I gave you, that most people will start in the beginning.
I feel like the number
Some
went up,
people,
the number's gone up.
they did?
So to help you a
They're
little
going
bit-
up, they're going up every month.
Yeah, and let me help with that, because I get you on this. I get it, because it's hard to get your head around. So we're filling more units than we ever have. So we got more tenants, right? So it's rolling. So you get folks to go into the repayment agreements. We're patting ourselves on the back. We got, let's pick 100,000 repayment agreements. Now, 60,000 of that gets paid. But the 40,000 we thought we're gonna bring in, no, they're not paying. So it winds up back over in this category. Maybe the new folks that came in, maybe they don't pay, so you got new ones rolling into this category. Maybe you've got some people that were current before, now they're not paying. So it's a rolling, people leaving and people come in, so.
What
I
percentage
get
of
you.
the people that are new are not?
That's what I was going to say. June, historically, was the first month that we saw, we kind of were looking at the same families they were owing, and each month we're getting a group. I will bring you those numbers specifically as a graph next month so you see that. But our rent collection graph, in a bad way, looks just like as good as the vacancy report looked, in a good way. But we will have that number. I just wanted you to see this because I think that next month, when you see these numbers, we're going to see the impact of what the paperwork is doing. So now, everything that we've tried to this point, even when you're putting a building together, you got to do your foundation, your concrete, your windows, right? I would say we're in the interior stage of this. The building is set, and we're about to turn the corner, which is the court gates.
Fine. It's pretty frustrating when someone wins the lottery, right, for Section 8. Is that what the new people are moving in?
Public housing.
Public housing.
Yeah.
So they get off the lottery.
Yeah.
They get into the unit.
Yeah.
You guys meet with them. Welcome to the housing authority. Are you telling me they just start month one not paying rent?
Not necessarily the new folks, but some of the new folks. And some of the old folks that are, all of a sudden they fell behind somehow. So there just is a gigantic group of tenants who did not work. And it can be traced to COVID. It can be traced to the fact that there was misinformation about not paying the rent. It can be traced to the fact that a lot of folks who did not lose their jobs stopped paying rent, tried to get help, and then the help said, we can't give you help, you never stopped working. Oh, but I didn't pay my rent. And so a lot of people who applied and they thought for sure they were going to get that help, they were denied the help, $10,000, $15,000. So on the other hand, even with Commissioner, our chairwoman who helped us with getting a lot of the help through the county, that helped. That was only a little bit. So unfortunately, it's just people are not paying their rent. And what's going to make it very clear is when we go to court. So no more, we're not going to sit here and talk. We're not going to, and we wanted, I'm talking about, we started this conversation in October, right? So we can feel confident. We can look at any family in the eye and say, we've been asking you to come in, right? We've been asking you to enter into this agreement. We've been asking you to please catch up. We've been telling you how much your rent is. For whatever reason, you just don't pay it.
What's the average rent that's not paid per household? Is it 3,000, 4,000, 5,000
No, I would
that
say
they owe?
there are 22 families. There are 22 families that are above 10. There is the bulk of that. The bulk of the money that's owed to us is in the $5,000 to $10,000 range. And the families who are below the $5,000 range actually then really dip down to more like the 800, 300, and those are a lot of the families that came in June. They got that letter, and those were easy enough to clean up, so they came out of pocket and they paid. A lot of people came with big checks, $10,000 checks, $17,000 checks. So there were some, and this happened, started in, you know, in July.
So, what's the process when a new applicant comes off the list? You guys sit with them and say, hey, are you working? What's your job? You guys do all that?
Yes. There's criminal background check, there's work employment history. There's a little bit of a lag when we get the reporting. You must be on the program at least 3 months before we can see from the EIV your information. So, as part of Jimena being my assistant now, one of the things that is going to be important, this will tie into the conversation you guys are going to have later on tonight, is that quality control that happens through the EIV, right? Because folks feel that if we're looking at the EIV that we're taking it personal. No, it's our responsibility to go back a certain amount of years during the research, because that's why HUD provides us that information, because sometimes we don't get it in real time. Sometimes if you don't notify us that there was a change in your income, it may take us 6 months to a year before we actually see it in the document. And when we see it, we have to recoup. And no, it's not a punishment. You were supposed to pay 30% of your income at all times. So that's something that you're going to see as well.
I'm sorry, I need help with this.
Yes.
So, you haven't paid rent in this amount of time, you get a letter, and you come down to the HHA with a $10,000 check, I need you to help me with that. You come down with a $17,000 check?
Yes.
Wow.
Because what happened is people were holding on to the money because they thought they weren't going to have to pay it. And the folks that were smart enough to hold on to it then had it to pay. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of discipline to hold on to $10,000 and not spend it. So for most people, they were supposed to be putting it in the bank. They just said, when the time comes, I'll figure it out.
And some people inherit, some people win a lawsuit, some people, there's other things that happen.
Please stop. Please.
Guys, I'm gonna ask anyone in the public, keep your comments quietly, please. Public portion is now closed.
So can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me? So when we were at the Father Conference, and there was a session just on this, and can you hear me? There was representation from all over the country. One woman from New York City, from NYCHA, said that she had someone owe over $100,000, and it took her 2 years to finally evict. And everybody is sitting around the room saying, we have the same problem. What do we do? And everybody in that room is extremely frustrated, saying, no one wants to evict, nobody wants to do this. Here we are, what do we do? You're on the two sides of the coin. You need money to function, you need money to pay, you need money to do all the buildings, but at the same time, if people aren't paying, what do you do? And how do you work together within the guidelines? And each city and state has their own jurisdictions, and that's why when you go to these national conferences, you talk to each other and you realize you're not in a bubble. But so many, didn't make a difference if you were in rural North Carolina, or if you're in, the biggest one is in New York City, or here in Hoboken. And if you sat in that room and you just heard people's frustrations, and really bringing it up with the FADA convention, going to here, listening to people saying, how do we change the laws? Maybe we have to work together on the local level, then we have to bring it maybe to the federal level, but something has to be done together, because it's not just us, it's everywhere. And you're in a hard and a rough spot, but it's not an easy situation to be in.
Not if it's doing your job.
So I would like a little if I can.
Yes.
We have to keep reminding ourselves, we just got through a pandemic. The pandemic said, the courts were closed. They weren't evicting people. We had people out there, maybe well-intentioned, telling residents, don't pay rent, you're never going to have to pay it, it's all going to be forgiven. That may have happened, but people didn't. So, and they knew we couldn't take them to court, so they didn't. So now, a year ago, we were still there. Now that is over. All right? Now people are, like us, people around the country, are saying we're owed all this money. There is a national issue with people being evicted. This is a homeless issue. And what we have done, I am so far very proud of what we have done. We sat here.
Patricia, I'm sorry. Thank you.
We sat here this past year, 2022, and said this is our plan, right? We're going to contact everyone with a balance. We're going to ask them to come in and do a repayment agreement. We will bend over backwards. If you can do $50 a month, if you can whatever, we will be really flexible, right? And then we did another letter and say, let's do it. Then we said, let's do a repayment. We've been doing this for 6 months and saying, over 6 months, saying, look, someday this is going to happen. We have got to put the other foot down, right? And we're still open. I mean, somebody gets that notice to quit, which is raising the ante, and they come in, we'll work it with them. Now, if you make that repayment agreement with us and you don't pay, that doesn't make us feel good. We're going to head toward a notice to quit with you, right? Now, the next level, and then I'll hush, the next level is if you don't pay after this notice to quit, that 30 days, yes, we will take you to court. Now, once we're in front of the judge, there's still a chance in front of the judge to say, okay, this is the deal. We're going to do a repayment agreement. And the judge will then bang the gavel and put that officially into the record. So now, if you don't pay, I mean, you're out. Right? The judge isn't going to mess around if you make the deal in front of the judge. So again, what I want as a perspective is for us all to understand this was a national, maybe international issue. We are approaching it as kindly and as open-hearted as we possibly can. We do not want to evict one family. We do not want to get to that point. We are willing and able to do agreements with folks that are affordable, that people can live with. But, as we all know, at some point, we as an organization have to draw that line.
Is it possible to get a running total of all the families who owe?
Of course. This is the report.
No. That's the number.
Family A, Family B, Family C.
Yeah. No,
Family 1, Family 2.
Now, I mean, as far as names, that's...
No, we can't do names, but I think we could give you an idea that here's Family 1. Family 1 has 4 people in the family and they owe $5,000 and they live in a 3-bedroom. Family 2 has boom, boom, boom. We could probably do that.
Is it possible to do a report that shows the first month they did not pay rent?
Yes.
And does it also have the first notice that we sent out?
No, not as a report, but what we're doing in that...
You keep track of that now?
Council is on it now, and what we are doing is starting the June 29th letters. All that is going to be on a spread that we're going to track, and we're going to keep that.
Unfortunately, what's sad, and this is no disrespect to our council, but the only people making money are attorneys. The billable hours of all 500 people they got to now go after. I mean, that bill's going to be through the roof. And then there's no guarantee that they get in front of the judge and they say, oh yeah, we'll repay. And then that's another 2 months.
But we've got to go through this. I believe we have to go through this to get back to where we were back before the pandemic, and we're at a reasonable non-payment rate of 3 or 4%. Is that you're always going to have that, but you're not going to have these numbers.
Madam Chair, I just want to, you know, and I echo the frustration of my colleagues on the commission here, but I also don't want to tie down staff with reports that aren't going to make any difference as to how we're going to proceed. I think it's always important that we have all the information, but having a report of Family A versus Family B versus Family C, I don't think it does anything really for the process. we should get that. We should definitely understand it. But I don't want to tie up staff for a report that doesn't make any difference for the short term of getting into a courtroom and having those repayment agreements, or having a judge issue a very official document to say this is the way that this family needs to proceed. I think taking staff away from that becomes problematic. I think having that report at some point to the commission is definitely needed, but I don't think it's a matter of rushing that stuff to us, because I think that hinders what we need to do over the next 30 to 60 days.
I mean, the bottom line is we got to collect money.
Right, we do.
Yeah, I mean, we have to collect money. So if we keep dancing around collecting it and not focusing on where we need to collect it from, that's what my focus is. I just want a snapshot of where we need to collect it from. That's what that's all I'm saying.
I get it. How about if I offer this, and then I'll let Frank go? How about if we look at this between now and the next meeting, and we'll see how finally we can slice and dice it on the data for you that makes sense. But Frank, go ahead.
And I don't know if it might be appropriate, but I know we have enough committees, but maybe we need a special team of accounts receivable, something that we focus on.
I think the finance committee would
The
be.
finance.
Yeah.
So, because that is something that continues to, and I, personally, I know that we stand here month after month, right? And it's hard to see, but please take a look at the past, see where we're moving in the right direction.
We're not.
I'm telling, no, we are.
We're not.
No, you can't say that though. You can't say that, because just because one metric of what we're doing is not looking right now, this is what we need to prioritize with the little bit of staff that we have, right? We need timer staff.
I understand, but you just got an assistant, right? So that's now added cost in your section to now go collect money. That's the wrong way.
No,
Right?
because hold on. If I can rebuttal on that.
We're the process of adding new people, there's something wrong there. If the person joins and first month, they're not paying rent. So we didn't do a good enough job of, where's your job? Let me see your background information. Let me talk to your manager. How much money is coming in? If the person signs up and gets in and takes the unit for somebody else that really needs it and doesn't pay, that's really upsetting, man.
So as we sit here and we talk about security, right? And when we think about adding a security guard, right? There's an expense there, right? Watching cameras, there's an expense there. We're talking about we're frustrated with the police because we can't get certain things done. Where your money's going to go is going to go to watch cameras and send letters so that we can enforce what's happening out there that we can't do. So no, it's not about collecting rent. It's about protecting everybody because we don't have enough staff. We don't have enough staff. In a regular world, the regular housing authority would take all the problems that we have here, and then there's all the work that we do that fills up the day. All these things that we're dealing with after the fact don't belong in a housing authority. That's not my job to come at 2 in the morning, for Rev to come out and walk, for Barbara to come out and walk. That's not fair. I'm at dinner with my wife and I get called because there's a clogged toilet at 9 o'clock at night. That's not fair, right? But we do it.
I think what Andrew's
No.
saying.
But I want to get. I'm sorry, Rev. All I want to let you know is that when you put dollar signs on a Kubota or a person that's going to give us value, you're crushing us. Every day that I show up here, I show up for you and for them. But when you say things like that to me,
I'm looking at the chart.
Right.
To say it's improved, to say it's going in the right direction is incorrect.
No, it's not. We're 96%. We're better than the average in New Jersey, and it starts with
I'm talking about
vacancy.
collecting
Yes,
rent.
that's why I said
Collecting
that's one
rent
metric.
is going in the wrong
That's
direction.
one
True or
metric.
false?
Correct. Wrong.
I would like to make a point
That's all I'm
here.
saying.
This was a planned process.
Right.
And I just went through this. We knew at the beginning, we could have evicted everyone day one, but that would have been heartless. We planned to go to people first and have a number of months to enter into these repayment agreements. We knew it wasn't going to be perfect 100%, but in order to do this equitably, we needed these steps. And we're down the road on these steps, and I think that's what Frank's saying.
But I
We
think
have
we're
made a lot of
focusing on-
progress.
We're focusing on
Yes.
the one with
One
the
at
new
a time,
people.
guys.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Sanford.
it's been a very long, hot day. May I propose that we take a 5-minute break? Everybody can perhaps cool off, and I could, use the bathroom and
If
just
you'd
come
like
back.
to take a recess, that would be fine for yourself. I don't know that everybody else would agree. I kind of want to move this along because I, like everyone else, need to go home. I have kids at home. So if you'd like to take a recess and use the restroom, by all means you
I
can.
will, I just thought that
They're
perhaps
just
this
speaking
discussion
about,
was
they're
getting a
just
little
still.
heated.
No, and what you see here is passion. It's not excitement. And I appreciate Andrew for everything he brings to the table every time. And we're playing basketball here, right? And it's how we make the team.
Okay.
But
Great, so let's move on. Thank you.
I'm good. Thank you.
So,
Thanks, Frank.
we're working with the VAST vouchers, and we've been working on the other possibilities of doing project basing, maintenance. All the playgrounds have been disinfected. We did have our basketball tournament on Sunday, and we're hoping that this coming weekend, the basketball league will start on Saturday and Sunday evening. I talked to Michael today. He's pulling together a couple things, so it may be another week, but we'll see on Saturday and Sunday.
Director, I have a question. What's going on with the repairs of that?
So here's the status on the repairs, is that we are under contract to do a new surface there and paint it, etc. But, and I agree with this, until we get a little dry weather, we're just going to resurface that with water underneath it. And that's just a wasteful. We've got to wait till we get a couple weeks of good dry weather to resurface that. So we're going to have to live with it and deal with it until we're resurfaced. In the meantime, Sammy's working consistently on the goals. Did you get a chance to talk to the guy about the ribbons today?
So, I'm not that tall.
Did you send in a box?
So basically, I'm sorry. What are we doing here, Sam? There we go. Watch yourself. Okay. So basically, what I wanted to try to do with the basketball court is do it in 2 phases. I try to reach out to the contractor to see if it can happen. But now, if we do it in 2 phases, by the time we get the court done, the rims will be in shambles again. So now we're dealing with fiberglass backboards. I'm pretty sure you're aware of it. So guys are jamming on them, taking them off whack. So I'd rather just keep doing the adjustments until the whole park gets completely done. Now, the whole thing with the park not getting done right away is because of the paint job. So the moisture in the floor's so saturated that once they paint the floor down, it's just gonna lift up the paint and it's not gonna be working.
I'm okay with all that. My biggest concern is because I go down there every day to watch the kids paint. The big poles have no cover on them.
Okay, so
that
insulation.
is a big fear for me, that one of the kids are gonna bump into it.
We could do that.
Yeah, I can.
If we could just get covers for both sides, I think I'd be a little bit more,
Absolutely.
more comfortable.
Absolutely.
But I understand everything else.
That can be taken care of.
Thank you, Sammy.
Very well.
Right, Sam.
So we continue to bid out the work on the 4-month cycle of floor stripping. We hope to have that for everyone soon. Our maintenance plumbing projects and our unit repair special projects are attached in your attachments. A little slower because it's summer, but we're rolling along with them. Our boiler inspections are going on through the state right now, and we're also hoping to have the CDBG 4 boilers replaced as soon as they get in. We continue to fight with extermination. We have started some new processes. We've been meeting with the city as well. We've started some CO2 processes under there. But there's no magic wand. There's just no magic wand. We think we've seen some improvement, but it helps. At the Finance Committee, we reviewed our fiscal year 2024 proposed budget and audit, which are in front of you today. The meeting was attended by our fee accountant, Bill Ketchen, our auditor, Michael Maurice, and I think Michael and and bills around today, and I think I'll just wait maybe until those come up as a resolution to talk about them further. And our ability for our residents to perform direct payments is now a reality, full tilt, it's up. So come to see your manager. If you want to do direct payments to us out of your bank account, come and see us, and your manager can set that up with you.
Director, just a quick point on that. I know we spoke about it in the Finance Committee as well, as potentially a specific term of any repayment agreement. Is there a way that we could put that into just a general lease as a specific payment, so that all of our residents would have that in their lease from this, and of course grandfather the current tenants in, but goes to Andrew's point earlier, we have someone new coming into the housing authority, we go through their background checks, we understand they have a job, we understand all that. In their lease, we put that it is a condition of their unit that they pay direct into our bank account month over month, and then that becomes a point of violation in their lease, which then would add to the process of removing someone who's not paying their rent. So I would hope that we could look at that from the legal side and then put that in any future leases that we currently have for future tenants.
Maybe make it a condition of
repayment, definitely.
I know
I think that's definite.
That would be automatic, because then that would prevent a lot of.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
But the lease is another question.
So
we'll look into
definitely a good point to have us start the conversation as well.
And the last thing I'll say on the Finance Committee is that I have been in touch with our insurance broker. Thank you, Councilman, for your reaching out. We have talked, and he's looking at a couple of different options for us for our insurance over the next year.
I talked to a couple of different contacts that I have in different firms. There's multiple options there. So, and I got and I think I forwarded it to you and the chairwoman.
Correct.
Next year's state health benefit plan is going to go up by another 5-6%. So it's only going to get worse. This last year was 24%. It's going up another 5 to 6%. This coming.
He's looking at that for us.
It's definitely something we need to make a change.
Yeah, he'll shop it.
Yeah, good.
It makes sense. Thank you for that. I don't know if Daniel's anywhere around?
Yes.
Because I'm facing that way.
Hey. Hello, everyone. Hey, hello, Director. Residents of Fox Hill. So I want to say that we went to Atlantic City on Tuesday, had an amazing time. I really appreciate these trips. I think they provide kind of like that increased emotional well-being for the seniors. They can connect with their peers. And it's also a great quality of life. So I'm really thankful to Ruben Ramos for providing the buses. This was our second trip. I think we probably might have another trip coming up maybe in September. So keep your fingers crossed. We had an amazing time. So I really promote these trips and get the seniors out, they're able to connect, have fun on the boardwalk. So, and many of them can also come back with their dads, and some of them actually win some money. So that's always good to hear. The director spoke about the basketball tournament. This is amazing because it actually brings the community together. Right? It's all about community involvement, community engagement, and social cohesion, and that's what we want. So the tournament was amazing. Everyone came out. It was great food, amazing giveaways, prizes, raffles, right? And good music for the entire community. So now we're having the tournament coming up this weekend, right? And it's going to run all the way through around August 25th. So we're really excited for that, and we're working on that. And also, the younger kids are also playing basketball with Community Lifestyles in Hoboken and Lee. And that's Monday through Thursday from around 3 to 7:30 p.m. and then on Saturday from 10 to 3 p.m. And that's amazing. So we're keeping the adults busy and we're keeping also the kids involved as well. And then of course, Community Lifestyle Summer Camp for those kids that don't like basketball. If you just want your kids to participate in the summer camp, get some swimming lessons, some recreational trips as well, some field trips, educational trips as well. So please sign them up. So that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
would conclude my report.
Thank you, Director. Resolution number 2023-0701, resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to approve the meeting minutes for June 20, 2023 regular board meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns?
A. Forbes. A. Impastato.
Yes.
A. Lewitt. Yes. B. Reyes.
Yes.
M. Russo.
Aye.
J. Sanford.
No.
E. Seitzman.
Yes. Resolution number 2023-0702, resolution authorizing the payment of the monthly list of bills for the Hoboken Housing Authority. Questions, concerns?
Motion.
Second. Andrew?
Yeah, under professional development, there's Houston Housing Authority. Well, can you just talk a little bit about what that is?
Is that one?
Yep. Emma and Frank, you guys want to take that one?
Yeah, I believe voters may have signed this person up, but this is one of our employees.
You want to get on the mic? I can't hear you.
Sorry, Emil Capathora of the CFO of the authority. For number 2, Houston Housing Authority.
Yeah.
That's a training that one of our employees that signed up for. It's an online webinar on online fair housing.
I don't know if you've heard, but a new fair housing law is coming down the pike that we're all going to have to follow. And it was the one that was stopped a number of years ago by the Trump administration. Biden's retooling it, and we better know about it. We better know what's happening and what's going to happen. We're going to have a lot of reporting. And what HUD's telling us is if we're not on top of it, there's going to be trouble.
So we have to pay another housing authority, like HUD doesn't.
They're putting on the training.
And it's only one employee for housing
I believe
authority?
this is one person going, right?
This invoice is just for that one person.
Yeah, one person going, right?
Is it online?
Online, you don't know? Who's going? Senator, you want to speak? Tell us? What's up?
I thought it was Daniel. I could be mistaken.
Help. So no one over there is going.
All right, so we
Okay.
got, unless if we don't have a person going and can identify, we're gonna take it off the list of bills.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. Okay, let's take it off. Take it
We're
off.
paying it to the Houston Housing Authority.
Okay, let's take it off.
You understand the frustration that is boiling inside of me right now?
No, I don't.
We're just gonna spend $550. We're gonna sign someone up. We're gonna say it's fair housing, and then we're gonna look around the room and no one knows who's doing what.
And I'm sorry for this
I
mistake.
mean, it's like a circus.
No, it's not. I'm sorry for this mistake. It's one mistake, and I'm sorry for that mistake. This is an incredible amount of work that we do on each and every one of these things, and you found one. Yay.
Over the years, I found probably 50 of them.
We did get,
Who went to the governor's conference registration September 2023, 60918?
That definitely would have been me.
That is a registration. It's forthcoming.
Yeah. So that's, who's going to that?
Myself and Corinne.
What's the Quincy's Leadville, Denver?
That was the very last meal in Denver. I got my receipt in a little late.
So who went to Denver? Who was the total? So I see Sheridan 3125. What is that, and how many people is that for?
So how many of us went to Denver?
I can answer. I can answer that for you. It was 4 people at that 3,125. It was for 3 nights hotel accommodations.
Who were the 4 people?
So Mr. Recco, Corinne, Frank, and Commissioner Seitzman.
Okay. And United Airlines, the baggage fees for that.
Yeah, that was the return baggage fees, $35 a bag for 4 people.
So usually it's 35 going out and 35 coming back.
Yeah, so these are all charges that were on our procurement card, and the going charges you saw in last month's list of bills, because the cutoff statement is about
Cool.
the 23rd of the month.
Can I just ask, and if it's too much, just let me know, but if we can keep a running tally of the cost for commissioners to attend these conferences? I don't know if that's too much to ask. I would like to have a number year end on how much money was spent for commissioners to attend conferences.
It's not hard to.
I think it's like an Excel.
I started to put something together for this Denver trip specifically. But
Yeah, and then just
that
keep it going. And then, yeah, that's it for me. That's it for me. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions, concerns? No? Director?
A. Forbes?
Yes.
A. Pistato?
Minus the, do we have to do a motion?
It's coming off, right?
It's coming up. I don't know if we have to do a motion, Counselor, just.
Counselor, do we have to do a motion to remove the Houston Housing Authority from the list of bills?
In my opinion, you should indeed, from the floor, request someone to amend the existing motion to delete that item.
Make a motion to amend the list of bills to eliminate the under professional development line item 2.
$550.
For $550.
I'll second the motion.
Director?
All right. Anything else?
Call the vote on the amendment?
Yep, we're
vote on
on the amendment. A. Forbes?
Yes.
A. Pistato?
Yes.
A. Lewitt? Yes. B. Reyes?
Yes.
M. Russo?
Aye.
J. Sanford?
No.
E. Seitzman?
Yes.
Now motion on the
Motion.
amended.
Yes. Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Questions, concerns? Director?
A. Forbes?
Yes.
A. Pistato?
Yes.
A. Lewitt? Yes. B. Reyes?
Yes.
M. Russo?
Aye.
J. Sanford?
No.
E. Seitzman?
Yes. Resolution number 2023-0703, resolution to adopt and approve the single audit for fiscal year 10/1/21 to September 30th, 2022 of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken, conducted by Polcari and Company CPA.
Motion.
Second.
Questions,
And
concerns?
Mike Maurice is here from Polcari.
So now it's a public hearing, Madam Chair.
What?
A public hearing. This is
Hey, Mike. How are you? Welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mike.
Everything is going to go to the public portion. There's nothing in the way that we're conducting it.
Welcome.
How are you? Thank you. Mike Maurice from Polcari and Company. I'll break out the audit presentation based upon the reports that we issue on the Housing Authority's financial statement. There are 3 reports of ours that are included on the audit report. The first is on the financial statements of the Housing Authority, and the other 2 reports are on compliance with laws, regulations, and compliance with the major programs that were selected for this audit. So the audit is basically 2 audits, if you will. There's a financial audit and a compliance audit. On the financial audit, the report is on begins on page 6 of the audit report, and we issued an unqualified opinion on the financial statements. In our opinion, the financial statements were fairly presented, so the unqualified opinion was issued. The second report is what's known as the Yellow Book report. It's the report on internal control of financial reporting and on compliance with state and municipal laws and regulations. That report was also an unqualified opinion. And the third report is the report on compliance with major programs in accordance with the uniform guidance. In that report, we issued a qualified opinion. There were 2 findings in this year's audit report. There were 2 programs that were tested as major this year. They were the low-rent public housing program and the housing choice voucher program. Both findings were very similar in nature. They dealt with compliance issues of eligibility, recertifications, or lack thereof of recertifications, and required documentation in those forms like the signing of employee tenant disclosure list, the 9886 forms, 5058s, things of that nature. Those are repeat findings from previous years. Those findings have been in the audit report, I believe, since we've been doing the audit now for about 7 years. The management has issued their response, and that was included in the corrective action plan, which was submitted to HUD and to REAC last month, and it is so noted in the report.
Thank you, sir. And I'd like to address that again. It's very upsetting to me. I think we... Terry, how do you put down a drop microphone in the transcript? We were very proactive this year on this. Frank and I spent a lot of time on this issue over the last year, along with the managers. I'm very upset over it. However, what we did in October was we brought in an outside consulting firm that's a national consulting firm in public housing called Nan McKay. We brought them in to do an audit of our files before they did. We did our own audit, and based on what we found from them, they came in and did a training with our managers. And that training with our managers was done over the past month in May. You want to take it from there? Very intensive training with testing. Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Yeah, so if we could take it even a little bit further back.
Yeah.
So last year's audit came out, and just like Mike said now, after an audit, we have to put in what our action plan is. So our action plan last year was, we started with the QC of the files, a certain amount of files per month. In the first few months of looking at that, some revelations came out that were alarming, right? So at that moment, I brought it up to the director and I said, what we're finding, I understand why now we're having a complete, we keep getting these findings. I see it now across and I understand that there's something that's not clicking. So we were able to contract Nan McKay. They came out, they did 10% of our files across everything. That was in October. Then in February, they came in, they sat with us, with the managers, what they found, and they then gave us a recommendation of what would be the best type of training to work on these files. So, long story short, it wasn't a surprise for us that we were going to have this finding, because we've been working on this, and now we've worked on it, and now not just the managers, the entire administrative staff attended certification classes. So everybody has attended rent calculation, which was, and it's kind of like, you know, even doctors, you have to stay fresh, right? A lot of folks have been doing work for a long time, and you know, we do things, this is the form we use, this is how we do it. Along the way, transcribing errors happening, or training, or someone thinks they're doing something a certain way or another way. This was an opportunity to put all the offices on the same page and get the training. I think that I would hope that the staff felt that it was something that was of value to all of them. But now what this has given us the ability is to, now we're all on the same exact training, the staff and myself, as we're moving forward, and now Jimena is going to do new quality control checks. We're going to now see the improvement and where we've changed now from those things, and then be able to swiftly now adapt, because now we all have the same metrics that we're looking at the same way. So I can't promise what next year is going to bring, but what I can say is I'm grateful for all the managers and all the staff, because I know that it blends in. It's always about the file, but then it's about everything else that's happening all day long. So I appreciate the fact that you're taking it as serious as you did. I know that sometimes what we have in front of us seems overwhelming, but I really do appreciate you all, and I know that we are going in the right direction with what we're doing. All I need for us to do now with some of the guidance that we're going to have is let's just check these boxes in a way that just like we're saying that we need from the tenants, we need from ourselves. So we are going to hold ourselves to a new standard, and I would hope that as we get this training and then whatever trainings are coming from there, that we can, you know, and I want to start by saying that when Mike walked into the door and he said, "This is the year," I looked him straight in the face and I said, "Mike, this is not the year." And in fact, I handed him the audit report from NAMK, because there's no way that NAMK could have found what they found, and Mike found something different, right? So we're all on the same page. It's not good news right now, but it's where we are, and we're not in the same place. Every one of you now are equipped with the skills that we need, and we're gonna put this behind us in the next year.
Any further? Presentations, questions, concerns, Director?
No, those are the main things. I mean, everything else, by the way, you know, again, like Mike said, the financial audit came through great. So those are the biggies. The financial came through good, our finances are good, our processes on finances are good. If you'll remember the years that we had findings on contracting, we had findings on how we were acquiring services, that there was questionable acquisitions. Again, before I got here, all of that is history. These are the only things we've got left. So we're on the right track, in my
For the
opinion.
vote, Director?
A. Forbes?
Yes.
A. Impastato?
No.
A. Lewitt?
Yes.
B. Reyes?
Yes.
M. Russo?
Yes.
J. Sanford?
No.
E. Seitzman?
Yes. Resolution number 2023-0704, resolution authorizing the approval of the annual and capital budget for the fiscal year October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024.
Motion.
Second. Questions, concerns, presentation? He's coming, he was the picture.
These little...
You gotta hear it twice, Andrew.
Do we, good evening, everybody.
Bill Ketchum, your fee accountant?
Before you start, just if you can identify what we talked about at the meeting the other day, where it's corrected in this.
Where it's been changed?
Yeah,
Okay.
at the end. Whatever, just.
Okay, so is this for the HUD or for the state budget?
This is for
Capital budget. The annual and capital budget.
Okay,
It's the state budget.
It's the New Jersey budget. Okay. Good evening, everybody. As everybody knows, you're required under the Local Fiscal Affairs Act, which was amended in 1992 to include housing authorities, to prepare and submit to the state of New Jersey a budget on a form as prescribed by them, separate and apart from a HUD budget. So you now are under the umbrella of the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs Bureau of Authorities. And this budget is due at the state of New Jersey 60 days in advance of the starting fiscal year. So that's why I'm here tonight. Thanks to Mark, thanks to Emil, thanks to the Finance Committee. We met last week, went through the budget. Subsequent to that, or at that meeting, there were some changes prescribed. One was, I'm getting something thrown at me. One was that you wanted to increase
tenant services cost by $50,000 to create some programs for the benefit of the tenants. So we included that.
Now, I would like to say that Commissioner Impastato really pushed that, saw that, and I think it's a great idea.
Well, it's also, it's a little, I mean, is this the time to talk about?
Sure.
It's a little more, it's earmarked for specific services for, for parent programming, correct? For the benefit of our youth. So whether it be training for young adults or training for parents of the housing authority that have youth to better equip them with different services that are available to them, that is what this is earmarked for specifically. It is not to be for like services that already exist. It's new things.
Okay. Then a second was to increase some staffing for the benefit of, I believe, interaction with tenants and administrators.
Right. So we increased it by including the position for Frank's assistant, and we also, I think we already included the mod coordinator that HUD wants us to get for our modernization and contracting programs.
Correct. Now, the largest increases this year are, as Commissioner Russo mentioned, health benefit costs, 20 to 24%.
Wow.
That's what they went up this year. I mean, you had family coverage was 34,000. Now family coverage is 41,000. That's where they are. With that, because your health benefit premiums are based on a calendar year, we did increase the premium by 3%. Now, because October through December is already fixed and based, that 3% becomes a little higher because of the fact that October through December is already built in. So we're taking 3% on a number, which isn't going to go up till January 1st. We continued in Fox Hill the additional $200,000 to support the major repairs and replacements. Additionally, as HUD requires, your annual reserve for repair and replacements for Fox Hill went up by 2.5% because of the fact that HUD prescribes that, requires that. Utility costs went up because the HUD formula that we have to follow says that they anticipate a utility cost increase nationwide of 22.5% this next year. Hopefully, we won't see that in New Jersey. Right. Your HUD funding, nationally, we've been told to use 95%. So that's what we use. And lastly, your Housing Choice Voucher Program is proposed under the current source of funding to be at 91% for administrative purposes. We haven't seen that in a long time. And 100% for rents to landlords, which gives you the ability to hopefully put some more people on that Housing Choice Voucher program. The budget itself proposes or projects for next year a surplus of $363,678. Healthy, from my standpoint, your rent, as it's been mentioned, your occupancy level going up has helped a lot to generate that. But the other side of the coin is we're also budgeting a 5% bad debt allowance over $300,000. Right. That hits you right in the pocketbook. So if the number's higher, it's going to reduce your excess or your surplus. If the number's low, it's going to go to your bottom line. Lastly, we talked about this at the Finance Committee meeting. One of the pages that the state will go to is called the Statement of Net Position. Now, Mike, his audit will be reviewed by the state because they'll compare my numbers to his numbers as of last year. And then there's an add back for non-cash expenses, pension OPEB. And I'm happy to say, for the first time, and I don't know how long I can remember, that your surplus is projected to be at the end of this year just over $5 million for the public housing program. I can't remember the last time that it was at that.
And the reserve amount.
Surplus, reserve,
Yeah.
equity.
And again, that's what HUD requires, that we have that, when we have that flood, when we have that major issue, we've got to have some money in the bank account. Not to mention day-to-day operations, so there's a revolving amount in that bank account. And we've always been really, really low.
Yeah.
So we're getting there.
We're still in hardship?
Yes.
How do we, what's the road?
Passing a REAC inspection or getting our, what they call CHAPS, through the RAD program to take our worst buildings off of a REAC inspection. And then we will pass. Everything else, we're gonna pass. It's the inspection on our buildings that are the problem.
Except for the 2 findings on the audit.
Yeah, but that's 2 points out of 100.
Well, financially, you've been fine.
Yeah.
Physically, it's caused you to become trouble. The problem is, with the receivable issue, if you get a 0 on receivables, that could cause your financial to be, to now
How many
add
points?
to the workshop.
How many points?
I'll have to look
No,
at that.
I think financial total is 25 points.
It
Total
is?
out of 100. So if we lose 2 or 3 points, it's our physical that's making us lose 30 or 40 points off of that process.
Has HUD just forgiven the receivable part for the last 2 years?
Oh, no.
So then why are we not penalized from it for last year?
You probably did lose points.
Yeah.
For 21.
Oh, yeah. Nationally, everyone is in this
Yeah.
boat. Like Eric was saying, everyone's in this boat.
Yeah.
And HUD hasn't said, okay, guys, never mind.
So, as we've discussed every year, the state process is the 2 bites of the apple process. This is the introduction phase. If the board so desires to approve the budget tonight, Mark will submit it online. Emil actually will upload it under the new FAST system. The state will generate their review, their budget comments. They'll respond to Mark and myself. We'll respond to them, and hopefully in September, this budget will be ready for adoption.
We'll come back to you in September.
Where does it show the changes? Is there physical
line item from that?
Oh, no, there's no change, because if you remember last week, the Finance Committee proposed to have those changes from the original to now incorporated in this budget.
Right.
Yeah.
So it would be an amendment to the...
Correct, it's not an amendment.
We did it prior to
Yep.
introduction.
I think it's also important to note that besides health insurance premiums, statewide, nationally, insurance premiums, general liability, building coverage, that has increased dramatically to the extent that a lot of places can't even get insurance today. There's not riders because of the large losses from Ida, from Sandy, etc. Well, you are a member of the New Jersey PHHF, and in light of the fact that we saw this coming last year, we only, and I hate to use the term only, increased the budget for insurance this year by $50,000, from $1,250,000 to $1,300,000, while in most instances, authorities' increases have been budgeted at greater than 20%.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You might as well
Madam
stay
Chair,
there, right?
questions?
Do we have the other budget coming up soon?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Good to see you, Bill.
Same here.
A couple questions. Could you just walk me through the surplus again? What is
Sure.
the amount?
Okay, so if you turn to page F8, Frank 8,
I'm going to take your word for it.
landscape. So the process with the state is that they start with the prior year audit. So Mike did the audit September 30th, 2022. and the state compares first whether I generated or prepared the form using the correct numbers as well, which I did. They're on the top line. Take my word for that, I guarantee. Now, then you have some large amounts on your financials which are non-cash required disclosures. OPEB, other post-employment benefits. If your employees retire with 25 years of service, they're afforded health insurance for life. So this under, what's GASB 40, GASB 45, Government Auditing Standards Board, they required that all government agencies that report on GAAP, I'm sorry about the alphabet soup, but I gotta use it, general accepted accounting principles, that you record what the future value is to the authority to meet that obligation of those employees. So the state actually, if you want to put yourself to sleep, go online and go and search New Jersey PERS, OPEB, OPEB, and New Jersey PERS pension study. You're going to get a report this big, because they do it for every municipality, every authority, every board of education in New Jersey. And you're one piece of that. And your piece of that for OPEB, $12 million. For pension, $8.2 million. Now the OPEB number is the future value of what they've calculated your allocation is. The pension number is your share of the unfunded pension liability. So we all know, we've all read about it, that up till a few years ago, the state would, their annual obligation would be $1.2 billion. But they only put away $900 million.
Bill, I appreciate your passion for this. I think
there's no passion.
We could keep going on and on.
Okay.
If I didn't stop. So the idea for asking about this is to better understand, is this an actual surplus of monies that could be used to hire additional staff and employees? And then where I'm going with this is, earlier during this meeting, we heard that our back office staff could use some help.
Sure.
So is there money in this budget? Is there a surplus possible this year or perhaps next year where we could hire additional staff?
Well, I think number one, we have budgeted that. Number two, the surplus amounts that you have are two pots. One is public housing, three pots, I'm sorry. One is public housing, one is the Housing Choice Voucher Program, and one is Fox Hill. Each one of those pots of surplus reserves have to be dedicated to the administration of those programs.
So when you are preparing these documents, going through financials, who within the Housing Authority, which staff do you interact with?
Abel and Mark.
Okay.
Principally.
And typically, I am usually focused on the front end, how many maintenance people do we have. But on the back end, do we have an internal auditor, in-house department, or some sort of due diligence compliance officer at the Housing Authority?
Do you?
Do we?
Oh. No. And most housing authorities don't, because they really can't afford to carry that kind of staff.
I understand that. My question, my concern is this housing authority is about to take on a very monumental redevelopment of these facilities. There's going to be millions and millions of dollars. Would it perhaps behoove the board to consider hiring somebody as a compliance officer or an internal auditor to help analyze those financials?
Well, absent what we do as your fee accountant, any additional, that's a policy decision. and subject to the availability of annual funding.
And I would just submit that the technical assistance folks that are working with us have suggested some positions like that. And they're working with us closely on the management stuff. And our conversation right now is, as we get going into next year, that may well be good. And that's, we got that surplus there. So as we come near actually going into an agreement with a real developer rather than just qualifying, as we go into there, we may want to bring a development person on board. The second thing that we've talked about that we mentioned earlier was a modernization coordinator that will work with them to actually cover our construction work, to cover the construction work, paperwork, everything that's coming there. That's in the budget. That's in the budget for this year. So we're going to do that. But I think you're going to see us coming back to you at some point in the year, depending on how fast we get that developer on board and how fast they're moving for a development position, which is very similar to what they're talking about.
Okay. Thank you both.
Thank you. Any other questions, guys?
A. Forbes?
Yes.
A. Impastato?
Yes.
A. Lewitt? Yes. B. Reyes?
Yes.
M. Russo?
Aye.
J. Sanford?
No.
E. Sites?
Yes.
So our next resolution,
Resolution number 2022-0705, resolution approving the AMP budgets for the Hoboken Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken.
Motion. Second.
Questions, concerns?
in many ways, this is,
Yeah.
give us,
So this is the public housing part, principally, of that budget. The numbers are identical, generates the same amount of surplus. The only, everything that's in the state budget is included in here. If anyone has any
it's just
questions?
in a different format because this is.
Exactly. A format which HUD would require to see as a public housing budget.
Good.
We're good? Any further questions? Director Cole?
A. Forbes?
Yes.
A. Impastato?
Yes.
A. Lewitt?
Yes.
B. Reyes?
Yes.
M. Russo?
Aye.
J. Sanford?
No.
E. Seitzman?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Good seeing
Thanks,
everybody.
Bill.
Good seeing you.
Good job.
Resolution number 2023-0706, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken authorizing the executive director to sell authority property through public auction, sealed bid, or through an interlocal sale to another government unit.
Motion. Second.
Guys, conversations, if you're having them, please step outside.
And this is an old truck, 2008 truck that's kind of on its last wheels. Emil, Samuel, you guys want to talk about this truck? You want to get in front of the microphone?
We're basically trying to downsize the fleet on having to use gas guzzlers. So we're not born in the States, so we're trying to actually get our vehicles more like the Kubotas. If we can utilize them, it saves us a lot. And just keep pumping money into these trucks. They are dated already, so we're pushing forward.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Questions, concerns?
A. Forbes?
Yes.
A. Impastato?
Yes.
A. Lewitt?
Yes.
B. Reyes?
Yes.
M. Russo?
Aye.
J. Sanford?
No.
E. Seitzman?
Yes.
Resolution number 2023-0707, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to award contract for interior door replacement.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns? Director, call the vote.
A. Forbes?
Yes.
A. Impastato?
Yes.
A. Lewitt?
Yes.
B. Reyes?
Yes.
M. Russo?
Aye.
J. Sanford?
No.
E. Seitzman?
Yes.
Resolution number 2023-0708, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to qualify potential development partners for repositioning of public housing.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns?
Yes, I'd like to speak to the chair of the committee. Welcome. Did you receive my communication to the director earlier today?
I did receive the communication letter.
So just to maybe ratchet down any potential tension or anything, the director asked me not to contact staff directly, and I am going to follow that request. So please feel free to answer any of my questions, not answer any of my questions, or defer to the director. I am not here to play gotcha.
Understood.
Are we clear?
We are clear.
You happen to be the person on paper who is the chair of this committee. I have been told that information that I've requested is with this committee, with you, and all I need is that information, or to know, to help me understand when that information will be ready for myself, but all of the entirety of the board to review. Are we on the same page?
We are on the same page.
Perfect. Can you please, for my benefit, for the board's benefit, for the public, walk me through how the pre-qualification process of the committee works?
Okay, so as you know, we have a procurement policy. And per the procurement policy, the executive director is entitled to appoint the members of the committee, which he did.
Absolutely.
Okay, so there is 7 members, and there is also 3 advisory members, including 1 person from HUD, 1 financial person, and also the legal counsel. I believe there is 3 people from the Housing Authority, myself, Frank, and Emil. There is 1 person from the city of Hoboken, RG Philfield. There is 1 person from this board, Mr. Aaron Lee, 1 person from the RAB, the Resident Advisory Board, Joe McDonald, and April Harris, who's from the Housing from Hoboken. So that constitutes the members on the committee. So as far as the process is concerned, we went according to the RFQ requirements. So all that require, I have a copy of the RFQ that I can share with you if you like. So all the requirements in the RFQ were actually put in the spreadsheet to allow all the committee members, except the non-voting one, which are the advisory members, to vote. So we had 3 main requirements. The first one was the team, the description of the team, knowing what their experience was. The second main requirement was the experience of the team, the entity as a whole. And the third main requirement was the references. And of course, under each of the main requirements, we had sub-requirements. So in that spreadsheet, we looked at the requirements expressed in the RFQ and whether or not that team met that. And we just went by yes or no. We did not have a numerical ranking, we had a nominal ranking. So we went by yes or no. So if we asked, for example, if the team had experience in relocation, and we looked at a proposal where the team stated we have experience in relocation, we went and said yes. If we asked, for example, if the team had experience in, let's say, multi-phase development, and the team, in the proposal, in the response, the team stated that they had experience, and we saw the number and everything, the illustration stated in the proposal, we went and said yes. We did not have a numerical ranking as to say 10 or 12. We did not have that in that specific case.
Thank you. So I'd like to explore that a little. Before I was removed from the procurement committee, there was a numerical ranking system for evaluating procurement. And that is what I am used to seeing, that's what I'm used to reviewing and experiencing. So I'd like to know how we went from a numerical evaluation system to a yes or no binary system.
Since that's an historical one, I may ask the attorney to step in on that one too, but during your experience there, we didn't do these types of RFQs. There was a completely different ranking.
Yeah, and if I could just add, I just wanted to let you know, the procurement committee still does that numerical ranking for all other situations. This is a separate committee from that procurement committee. So they have their own system, and I'm sure that's been guided by attorneys.
And my simplest explanation before the attorney jumps in is this was a request for qualification, not a request for a proposal. So these firms were ranked according to qualifications. Were they qualified to do this? That the proposal asked for? Yes. That, yes. If they would have had no's, they would have been booted. So it was a request for qualifications, not for which one was better, not ranking these firms. They were, all came out equal. I would just like to ask if the attorney has anything to say before I hand it back to you.
I agree. I'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, I'll be glad to speak to that, Mr. Director. First of all, we have the word bid, and everybody's familiar with the bid process. In New Jersey, under bid process, unless there's some unique thing like the laundry concession, bids are decided based upon lowest responsible price. This is not a bid. Then we have the term RFP, where we put out a request for people to be evaluated, and it may include a price component, but it may include other components. And there are specific evaluation sheets that are done by the procurement committee, as Commissioner Russo pointed out, and we do that in a very typical basis for reviewing the overall request to determine a final one-person result, one entity result. That is not what this is about. This is a different process. It is something which is permitted under HUD procurement and New Jersey law, but is not used as much. And quite frankly, when we started the process of soliciting developers, we weren't sure how many highly qualified, interested developers would respond. In retrospect, we were extremely pleased at the quality of the responses we got. As Ms. Richmond pointed out, the fact of the matter is that we've gotten very, very good responses that met our criteria. There is no evaluation of the responses versus each other. The next step, which will be an RFP, will be directed at that evaluation process. And when we do that, we will have a much more detailed document that addresses all of the things you would typically see, including political disclosure, other background, and it will be evaluated by this committee, because this committee has been designated to deal with developers, and ultimately will come up with a conclusion as to a recommendation for at least one first developer on our first phase of the overall reposition. I don't know if that clarified anything for you, Commissioner.
It certainly helped. So, in developing the selection criteria for the evaluation, what is an example of a positive versus a negative evaluation / qualification? Where I'm going with this is the review appears unanimous. It's a yes or no binary. With the evaluation sheets, were there any criteria for any of the 8 respondents where it was a no versus a yes?
We had one question that addressed the fact that the responder, the offerer, had experience in New Jersey. But according to her, we cannot disqualify based on geography. So one of the respondents had a no for that specific criteria. But because we cannot disqualify them at this stage based on geography, we had to accept them.
Okay. So with each of the criteria, if I understood what you explained earlier, there's the team description, there's 4 criteria there, there's planning and redevelopment capacity experience, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 criteria there, and then there's references, submit 3 references with 1 criteria there. Hypothetically, I'm just going to use myself as an example so that this doesn't sound accusatory. If I were to present a reference on any of these bids, and the person providing that reference is suspect or has a problem that any commissioner may have with that reference, or any member of the committee, how would that be addressed within the evaluation?
At this stage, we did not really analyze that. We just looked at the references, but if that were to be the case, then we will refer to the lawyer, to the legal counsel for more guidance.
Okay. So I'm only working off of information that has been presented to me as of this time. I understand that some of the information that I've requested is going to require some time. Since you're already aware of the items, when do you think I can reasonably expect that information?
I would ask that we have a chance to review that request and get back to you on that.
Director, I mean, I don't know
there's a
about
whole
the
list
other
of things.
commissioners, I'm in the dark as to what you're
Yeah.
talking about there, so
There's a whole
I don't
list
know
of
if you want to
things.
disclose that to the other commissioners, if you don't want to disclose that to the other commissioners, but
I would definitely be sending it to all the commissioners once I respond, without a doubt. But there's a whole list of things that came in this afternoon. We're getting ready for a board meeting. Didn't study that, with all due respect, so we'll get back to you in the next couple of days
So
after we take a look at that.
I would like to throw this out there, both to you as chair of the committee, as you as executive director, and Harold as a member of the advisory committee, that based on the information that I have reviewed, I am concerned. And I am concerned that the evaluation return a unanimous, positive pre-qualification for all 8 of these developers. Because upon reviewing the information and upon receiving the descriptions here, if I were on the committee, if I were completing the form, there would be negative no answers. I'm not on the committee. I'm not here to judge your work, per se. I'm here in an oversight capacity. Your job is to, as you see fit, run this committee. I am not trying to micromanage you. My job is to provide oversight. The board's job is to provide oversight. What I'm asking you, as chair, is to please consider that the work of your committee is incomplete, is not complete, is not done.
It is not complete based on what?
Based on potential negative qualifications.
I will be willing to have you in my office. I have all the answers, and we can go over each proposal, and then you'll be able to judge whether or not the work is complete. But as far as the committee is concerned, the work is complete, and we have reviewed it with the legal counsel. It is complete. So if you have any disagreements, which you have right now, I'll be willing to have you in my office first thing tomorrow morning, and we can discuss that.
I would be willing to meet with you. I am open to having you convince me that my concerns are without merit. But I cannot be reasonably expected to vote yes for a resolution to unanimously pre-qualify these three developers.
I understand, Commissioner, that is a prerogative, but like I said, I have all the evidence in my office, all the work that the committee has done separately. Each committee member has completed that separately. And we can go over that. And I can also go over, I have a spreadsheet, the evaluation grade that we use, along with the RFQ. And we can go over each proposal. You can do the exercise as well. And if you see that there is a disagreement, we can go over that.
I need to stress this to you. And I'm really just asking as one professional to another professional. I have over 20 years of procurement experience. I used to chair the procurement subcommittee. I would really implore you and the committee to take another look at the work that you've done.
I respect your experience, Commissioner, and we have 7 members in our committee that also have accumulated experience of over 20 years. And these people have taken a look, we've been meeting for over a month, these people have taken a look and gone over the result that we are presenting tonight to the board. Again, if you disagree with the result, if you disagree with what the report, I am willing to go over each response with you so that you can have your own opinion based on facts.
So I appreciate that. Going forward, once as council explained regarding the RFP process, I will be paying very close attention in an oversight capacity to do my fiduciary to the work that you and the committee is doing. I thank you for your work.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanford. We would greatly appreciate it if you did it overall.
What this basically was, they named all the people that were going to use. And it's very comparable to all ages. So the next step is to RFP.
How many people? No, by all means, you had it before.
It's over 500 pages.
Go ahead, Sanford. So I just want to make the comment that I respect your opinion, and you ask that the committee respect your expertise and your knowledge and your years in the world of procurement. But I would say that you should also respect theirs. Because that committee sat, they went through this, both the attorney, the director, and the chairwoman of that committee explained that this is not a who is a better type of an evaluation. This is an evaluation of who has sent qualifications in that match those that which we need as an authority. And if all 8 of those have met that, then all 8 of those have met that. And I don't understand why you would sit there and make a comment that you would vote no, or there would be negative evaluation status on some of these, not even knowing would anything happen at that committee. I think that's absurd. You asked for that respect, and everyone here tonight has given you that respect. We all sat here, we let you ask your questions, but I would ask that you did the same for the chairwoman and the committee itself. They sat, they evaluated those potential developers, and they came to a conclusion. And you sat there and you repeatedly went back a number of times to the chairwoman to ask her to reconsider the decisions that she made in a professional capacity. I think that's disrespectful. I think you should practice what you preach. When you ask for that respect in return,
you should give that respect first.
And Commissioner Sanford, I'd just like to add that I recall receiving an email that you would not like to participate in any committee. So for you to sit here today and state that, you know, if you were on the committee, you could have, would have, or should have, but I received an email that you didn't want to participate in any. So at this time, unfortunately, the committee was made and your response was taken into consideration that you did not want to serve on a committee. So.
May I respond? May I respond to both Commissioner Russo's comment and your comment, Chair? So, regarding respect for the work of the committee, I believe that when I ended my questions, I thanked the chair and the committee for their work. I am not here to be a rubber stamp. I'm here to ask tough questions that no one else is asking. And if someone else wants to ask those questions, they are welcome to do so.
And we do, in most cases we do. It's not that we're not asking them. We may not be asking them in a public forum, but I can assure you that the director is held accountable.
Very well. Now, that's just to address your comment, Commissioner Russo. I'd just like to address Commissioner Reyes' comment about my earlier email. The context between which that email was sent was in response to being removed from the procurement committee. There are other factors related to why I sent that email, and I would very much like to be part of this committee. Now, we move past that. I'm not going to belabor the point that I could or should be on the redevelopment committee. I'm moving on.
Great.
Commissioner Russo, you want to say something?
Listen, like I said, I respect your opinion on it, Commissioner, but you talk about asking questions and asking hard questions. We ask those questions constantly. And when we, the other commissioners, disagree with something, it's expressed. But we also support the things that need supporting in this housing authority. We don't ask 15 different questions and have them answered at a microphone and answered well by our fee accountant about our budget and then vote against that budget that we just asked questions on. We don't sit here and talk about the need of our housing authority residents and what each building may need from a physical standpoint or a financial standpoint and get those questions answered to us in a satisfactory way and then go vote against a brand new generator. We don't do that. We vote on the things that need to get done for this housing authority, not for us, but for them. And we do that on a consistent basis, month after month. And if there's something that we disagree with, like Commissioner Pistado tonight, disagreed with something financially. He made a motion to remove that from that fee schedule, and then we changed it, and then he voted on it. That's the way the board should work.
Yep.
So that we can continue to financially and physically help our residents. And it gets frustrating that when I keep my notes of a meeting and I go down every single vote in the Housing Authority agenda tonight, you're a no on every single one of them. And some of them were as simple as minutes. What did you disagree with about the minutes? Because there's a court reporter that's there. It wasn't an interpretation. It's exact. It's word for word.
Good.
Commissioner, you want respect, you need to give respect.
So,
Director?
I'm just going to say that every commissioner is co-equal. We do not report to each other. We are not subordinate or above each other. All of us are appointed to do a job as best as we see fit. I have my reasons for why I vote. The reasons for why I vote will not be coerced.
That's it. No one's coerced.
No one's trying to coerce you.
Absolutely not. You have
Just
the right to
pointing
your
it out.
Director, if there's no further questions or concerns.
I have one question. I mean, I am curious about, so the What is the reason why something like this doesn't go through the procurement committee? And it goes through a spec? Is that something that, like inside the RAD, that they mandate, it goes through the?
Because I think the issue was when we were doing the purchasing policy, it's a much larger issue. That it should have not only first of all, three commissioners. Now, if you chose these people in the long run, and if you didn't choose one person, they could